Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seat. The show is about to begin.
Presented by BYOB Fantasy. I'm your host, Simon. Joined as always by my wildly handsome co-host, John Luke Garoppolo. Our friend Coop with us, aka Coop A Fiasco. Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday, and welcome into the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. I'm your host, Simon, joined as always with my enthusiastic and wildly awake co-host, John Luke Garoppolo and Andrew Cooper. What's up, boys?
Good morning.
Hey.
Diamondbacks.
There we are. Diamondbacks fan now?
They're my opinion. Some people don't believe this to be true. My opinion is that you're allowed to root for one team that's in the other conference. So I am a Red Sox fan, right? But my National League team is Diamondbacks.
I like that rule. I take it a step further. If your heart says cheer for a team when you're watching, cheer for that team. I don't care if it's your rival. Sometimes you just get a feeling when you're watching a game and you're like, I like those guys. It's okay to pull for them. They don't have to be your team, but it's okay to get it. You can even get a shirt. There's no rules on hats and shirts.
I understand that completely because I like Bills fans. I want to root for the Bills. I have a Bills Thurman Thomas jersey, but anytime the game is on, I find myself rooting for them to get crushed. So sometimes
a little bit the opposite.
It's kind of the opposite. My brain wants to root for the Bills. I'm like, they lost 4 Super Bowls in a row. Like, it'd be okay for them to win. But then when the game's on, I'm like, I hate these guys. So,
what's a Thermos Thomas?
It's this guy right here. And
wow.
You fill him up with water. Thermos Thomas. Yeah. This one, his nickname is
Thermos Stanley is out. Thermos Bubba out. Thermos Thomas
in.
Yeah, this one's nickname is Bubba, but that's Thermos Thomas. Yeah, and the Thermos Thomas nickname, of course, is a nickname for some old-timey running back for the Bills. I forget his real name now.
Yeehaw! And so any water bottle girls or water bottle boys watching out there looking for the hottest trends in water bottles,
we got you, bruh.
Thermos Thomas, Stanley out,
girl.
Thomas in. We got Tommy in the chat this morning. What's up, Tommy? With a nice little rhyme after conference championship weekend. So the Bengals are out. Do they regret what they said? They shouldn't have called it Burrowhead. Travis and Patrick just needed a reason to put Cincy on the shelf and end their season. The 49ers
we can trace this loss to that.
100%. The Niners should have given us what we wanted to see by making the QB move to CMC. No win for Joe. No win for Brock. The Chiefs and Eagles seemed like a lock. From early in the season, they were destined to play. Now we have to wait 2 weeks. Don't be a crier. Don't be a moaner. Eagles and Chiefs, see you in Arizona. You really made me work for that last rhyme, Tommy, but I'll take it. Don't be a moaner, Arizona.
Arizona, God.
Hey. Did he add that after? Or was that no, that must have been part of it.
Also, Dale, I am praying that the face that you're frozen on our screen is also frozen on the broadcast because it was just pure and absolute disgust at Arizona.
Strong disgust.
And Tommy said, not many things rhyme with Arizona. Quick, JL, what rhymes with Arizona?
Arablona.
Coop, what rhymes with Arizona?
Iberona.
Corona.
My Sharona.
My Sharona. Corona.
My Sharona.
Mona. Moana.
That's what you went for, was Mona.
I think Mona.
That was the choice you made.
Mona rhymes more than Moana.
Tomato. Oh, sorry, Coop. Was that too
careful?
Sorry about that. And Tommy said, hey, it is early. We're just messing with you, Tommy. I love the Moner Arizona combo. Well, guys, it's that time of morning. We got everything else you need as long as you brought your own breakfast. Crack open that Pop-Tart bring those biscuits out for something to eat because we are going to talk some news, some stories, some things that happened throughout this weekend going on in the NFL today. You just got to bring your own breakfast. Coop, looks like you got a banana first thing this morning.
I was running a little late today, but I have a Nutri-Grain bar, a banana, a coffee, and then something here that I thought, it's another one of those things that I thought was kind of universal, was all over the place, but I've been informed that it's mostly a New England thing. What do you fellas know about coffee milk?
Coffee milk? I've never heard of it.
Coffee milk? Okay, so you guys, Rhode Island is kind of the coffee milk hub. There's actually this place, Monroe Dairy, that has amazing coffee milk. But it's like they make this syrup that's just like, it's like chocolate syrup or strawberry syrup, but it's coffee syrup where you make coffee milk, and it tastes amazing. There's no caffeine or anything in it. There's no actual coffee in it. I encourage you fellas, if you see coffee milk out there in the wild, to give it a go. I know you're not big milk fellas, but
is it how do I phrase this? Is it worth the seemingly endless amount of pain and diarrhea that I'll endure from consuming an entire pint of milk?
Endless.
I would say this. I wouldn't just go for the run-of-the-mill coffee milk. Like if you see it at the gas station, it's probably not worth it. But if you were to come up this way, you might have to plan a day around you trying a little Monroe Dairy or a high-end one.
Maybe plan a day of activities where I'm never more than 15 feet from a toilet, and then I can try that coffee milk.
Then we could do that, yeah. So we'll plan like a big bike ride the next day.
Okay, perfect. That sounds perfect.
Yeah.
I was gonna say do it on a Sunday, and then we can just watch football all day somewhere near where there's a bathroom.
Exactly. Now, for anybody listening that wants to know whether they should be recommended coffee milk or not, it's pretty simple. If you like coffee ice cream, it's basically just like drinking melted coffee ice cream.
I like coffee ice cream. I don't like milk. It's the only issue.
So you run into a bit of a snag there.
Yeah.
But Jolly Rancher said sold. I got my mom in here saying I'm in on coffee milk.
We got one. We sold one. One out of three. Not so good. Tommy,
I'll try it.
Coffee milk, yeah.
Especially if they've got a dairy-free version. I'll give it a shot, Coop.
I'm sure they do. Take it for a spin.
Though for some reason in my mind, no one in Rhode Island is lactose intolerant. That entire state starts their day with a glass of milk. Rhode Island just gives off glass of milk a day kind of vibes, doesn't it?
Yeah, they get up, they hop in their 1989 Honda Civic that's lowered
their lederhosen
all the way to the ground. They slap on their lederhosen, and they're like, "I need to get a coffee milk." Right? That's
coffee milk.
Like. I'm from Cranston.
Is that some sort of like Boston morph into Rhode Island accent?
That's how they talk, dude. They're like, I'm from Cranston. I need to get I need to turn the lights off and get a coffee milk and take my dog for a walk and get a Powerball ticket. Like that's what they sound like in Cranston, dude. I
exaggerated Boston accent.
I was once like appraising when I did commercial appraisals, this like old folks home, and this woman was like talking to me about it in Rhode Island. She was like, yeah, she's like, on Tuesday they play bingo, and on Wednesday they play cards, and on Thursday they play dots. And I'm like, what the hell is dots? Like connect the dots, and she like points to the wall and there's a dartboard on the wall. I'm like,
dots.
I'm like, dots.
I got you now.
She's like, they play dots. I was like, what the hell are dots, dude? Like, beep, boop, boop, boop. She's like, you punch. I was like, oh, darts is what you were saying.
Oh, you're talking.
Yeah.
I was full, Coop, when you said, even though everything else had been in that accent, I was imagining the game where it's just like rid of dots and you have to draw the lines to try to like capture squares or whatever the hell the point of that game is.
I was like, they all play that game? That game stinks. Like, they all sit down and play tic-tac-toe, you know?
Like I got some games to teach them if that's what they're playing.
Yeah, but then I was thinking to myself, I'm like, dude, I kind of want to watch these like old dudes, like old ladies chucking darts. I bet that gets scary, dude.
Yeah, I bet you would think it would be scary, but then you got these people walking up who they've been playing dots for 50 years down at the bar.
50 years.
Yeah, down at the bar, they've been playing dots for 50 years, and they're going to look like they ain't got nothing walking up there. Then they're going to chuck that dot straight bullseye every time.
At the bar.
I'm not playing with Mark, dude. He's a shock at dots down at the bar.
Tommy in here had a question for us. Did you appraise commercials? How much is that Whopper commercial worth?
Dude,
Whopper,
negative.
Whopper. Junior,
Yeah, well,
bacon Whopper. Well, if
Did
each
we
Whopper
start this Whopper trend?
No, not at all.
Considering
The Whopper
dude,
train was going off the rails before we even touched it.
have you guys been to Burger King or McDonald's or any fast food place in a while recently?
Yeah, I got a Burger King.
Yeah.
The prices are high. They're really high now, huh?
Are they?
Dude, it used to be, I feel like I know the days of like the dollar menu actually being $1 have been over for a while, dude, but I remember it being like $1.75. Now I feel like when I go to McDonald's or Burger King, I'm spending like $20.
Here's
Just on yourself?
Yeah, dude, like just what I normally get, or at least over $10. It used to be you go there and it's a nickel, dude, you know, but now it's like
It's a nickel.
Back in my day, I could get a double quarter pounder for a nickel.
I used to eat my Happy Meal for a nickel.
Back in my day, I roll up there, you know, half drunk and be like, well, I'll order a Whopper, and then it's like $10, dude. Now it's like,
and they're like, what's that song? That sounds great.
That's great. We're gonna steal that and use it in 15 years. I was like, go ahead, dude. So
go ahead. You won't.
Go ahead. It's all you, bro. So yeah. So the times are changing, man. Times are changing.
Times are changing.
I think there's certain things. Fast food, gas. When I pull up, I'm gonna buy it, no matter what price they tell me it is at the end. You know what I mean? Like whatever that gas pump says, like I'm paying it. Whatever the order is at McDonald's, like for my 10 chicken nuggets and French fries, I'm gonna pay it. So I don't even like. I know this sounds bad, but if it's $9 versus $8, like I'm not gonna notice. I'll notice that it's a little bit more expensive whenever I'm tracking my finances at the end of the month. But in the moment, like I'm paying for those French fries. I've already made the decision that I'm eating McDonald's. That dollar is not going to change my mind for the bad decision I've already made.
100%, dude. I'm in the same camp. It's always interesting to me, the gas people that are like, we got to drive over to this gas station. I'm like, I never have noticed. I have like one of those membership cards to the one near me, so pretty loyal to them.
Oh, I've got no gas loyalty. Not a single ounce of gas loyalty. Not one bit. I saw some news.
You got to find your place. You got to find your gas station home. Like Cumberland Farms is mine. Love you, Cumby.
They surely sell coffee, milk, and meat sticks.
Oh yeah,
outside Cumberland Farms.
Cumberland is, that's funny because Cumberland is it's named after a town in Rhode Island.
Yeah, and man, and Jail's just so hyped up this morning that he lost his voice.
Crazy.
Oh, is that what you said?
What is this? What is this strange juice cup you're using?
I know.
It's not like one I've ever seen.
I was running late this morning and I didn't even think about it. I was too busy insulting Keith. I just grabbed the cup.
That's also a lot of juice for you, I feel.
It's a normal amount.
His other mug is deceptive. Sorry, cup, not mug, Jail. Don't worry. Well, guys, there was some news this weekend that snuck in between the conference championships games. And the first piece I wanted to talk about, our friend Tim, Miami Dolphins fan, texted me yesterday and said the Dolphins are winning the Super Bowl within 2 years. We just landed Vic Fangio. And coming from Tom Pelissero, the Dolphins have agreed to terms with Vic Fangio on a deal that makes him the NFL's highest paid coordinator. A 3-year deal with a fourth year team option. He's one of the best defensive minds, is what they're saying, and it's a huge get for Mike McDaniel down there in Miami. How do you guys feel about this Vic Fangio to Miami hire?
I think for probably the 10th year in a row now, the Dolphins are looking like they're going to win the offseason.
Hey, but they made some steps towards winning the regular season this year as well, right? Like that team looked like one of the better teams in the NFL, derailed by quarterback injuries. But I do think this Dolphins team, they may win the offseason, but you do that enough and your name's not the Cleveland Browns and it starts working for you.
That's true. The Browns are another team, though, that notoriously win the offseason every year. I don't know why you use them. I don't know why you use them as an example.
That's what I said, unless you're the Browns. Like they are the example of a team that continues winning the offseason and then never wins in the regular season.
Right. Yeah. Like you don't want to be the team like the Eagles that year, the dream team here, right? And they're like, we already won. You never want to be that team. You want to come in maybe a little under the radar. But I will say this about Dolphins is that I do a ton of articles on off-season football, In fact, my off-season series starts today. I've written a bunch, sent them in. They're going to start trickling out now. And I truly do love a properly done rebuild, and I have great disdain for the teams that do it the wrong way. So I dislike the Texans. I dislike the Bears. I love what the Lions did, right? Where you let everyone leave for compensatory picks, get those comp picks in, start building from the inside out with guys like Penei Sewell. Then you find your quarterback. Then you go after the luxury pieces, right? And I think the Dolphins were the ones that actually did that first. The Lions now are kind of copying what the Dolphins did. Everything besides having to fire Brian Flores went almost exactly according to plan, right? Like they went out, let a bunch of guys leave for comp picks, traded Laramie Tunsil, rolled. They carried the most dead cap of any team in the league, but also the most money forward. They got Tua. They got all these linemen. They bought Teron Armstead. They traded for Tyreek Hill. Love everything about what they did. Now it's just a matter of seeing it come together. And I think getting a coach like Vic Fangio to help that defense is a big step in the right direction. So I kind of love what the Dolphins are doing, even though I'm a Patriots fan.
Yeah, I'm with you, Coop. I love this hire. There's a reason he was made a head coach in the NFL, right? And it is because he's one of the best defensive minds in the game. This should be awesome for Mike McDaniel's staff down there in Miami.
He's got, like, we talk about coaching trees. His 4-3 defense they run, that like his style of defense, there's a ton of offshoots of his coaching tree that run that specific defense. And it's a lot of the guys that we sit here and say these are the best minds in football. Like Vic Fangio is a G, no question.
It'd be interesting to bring some experience into that coaching staff as well. Mike McDaniel, who we've just gushed over this year on this show, doesn't have a ton of experience, and it feels like someone like Vic Fangio could come in and bring in some stability.
Yeah, I think that's a great point because, yeah, I mean, they're, as much as we love Mike McDaniel, it's because he's like one of us and he kind of just says and does whatever he wants. But it is a good idea to have that the elder,
it's another perspective,
the elder statesman, right? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, 100%. Fangio, and he's got to be pretty happy to be back with Bradley Chubb on that defense, right? Coming over there and reunited with one of the best pass rushers in the league. Like, this is a pretty exciting defense for Vic Fangio to come in and take over. Like, know what I mean? Like, I'm excited for the Dolphins, but also if you're going to come in as a defensive coordinator, this is an all right defense to come in and try to build around. Not the best in the league yet, but you've got some pieces and you've got a team that's rebuilding. Like, this seems like a fun job for Fangio as well. You get to live in Miami. Like, that dude's pretty happy right now.
It's always a plus.
Unless you hate Miami.
Unless you really don't like Miami, in which case not a plus.
Sorry about that.
Christian Wilkins, Xavier Howard, Bradley Chubb. They got some pieces over there. Jalen Phillips. We'll see. We gon' see.
Did you guys see Travis Kelce said, Burrowhead my ass?
So good. And he called the mayor. He called the mayor of Cincinnati a jabroni. That was the best, bro.
Oh, got him.
I don't usually watch those, like, because it's always kind of corny, and this one was kind of corny too, where they like go up and pretend they're excited about winning the AFC conference. You know what I mean? But this one was kind of entertaining. They were all getting after it. They were all saying what they mean, which is nice. When you've been there 3 out of 4 years, you can kind of say whatever you feel like saying. If you haven't been there ever, then you get up there and you're like, yeah, we're just really happy to be a part of the big game. You know, Travis Kelce's like, he's up there. He's like, kiss my ass, you loser.
He's on national TV, Burrowhead my ass.
Yeah.
What's up, Albert? Welcome in, Albert, saying good morning,
up,
everyone.
Albert?
And Craig saying morning, fellas. I think we have the clip of Travis Kelce saying Burrowhead my ass.
This beautiful trophy. Huh? Hey, I got some wise words for that Cincinnati mayor. Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni. You gotta fight for your right to party.
That's how you do that. That's how you do that. And I'm not sure if you guys did you guys see after the sideline reporter, Mahomes trying to talk to the sideline reporter?
Oh, yes, I did see that when he Travis Kelce.
That's where he said Burrowhead my ass.
Burrowhead my ass. And no one would let Mahomes talk. Like, everybody had to come over. Like, even like Orlando Brown had to come over and be like, give this man his props, as if like no one has been giving Patrick
As if
Mahomes
they
his
were-
props.
Yeah, as if
Stamp
they
his
weren't
ticket.
interviewing him after the show.
Like, yeah, okay, dude. You're like, everyone's been so disrespectful to Patrick Mahomes. Sorry. Crazy.
Yeah. Well. Meanwhile, I feel like the broadcast of every playoff game has been just talking about Patrick Mahomes and how incredible he is, and how great it is that he's been in 5 consecutive AFC Championship games. Don't get me wrong, incredible. But there's no shortage of Patrick Mahomes praise going on in the NFL.
Exactly. And I've got some advice for people in regards to like this Patrick Mahomes being the GOAT and all that business. And, anybody that has been around for the Michael Jordan versus LeBron James back and forth and counting rings and counting stats and comparing rebounds versus steals versus points, try your best not to do that and just enjoy greatness while we have it. Because like I spent so much time as a LeBron James hater because we had the big 3 here. We only won 1 because LeBron James with the Cavs and LeBron James with the Heat. And I like a bunch of people out here still hate LeBron James. Eventually I finally sat back and said, you know what, why am I wasting my energy on disliking this guy? He's a good dude, a family man. You know what I mean? Like he can be a little bit of a cornball at times, but LeBron James is a good guy. You know what I mean? So like, just enjoy greatness. Like we don't have to sit back and debate at end Tom Brady versus Patrick Mahomes. Both are very good dudes and good quarterbacks, and we can just enjoy it. So
people talk about LeBron being arrogant, and I'm like, okay, let's just play an imagination game real quick. You're 17 years old, and you enter the NBA being touted as the greatest basketball player to ever play the game without going to college. And immediately you don't know adult life without being a millionaire and without being the greatest of all time at a sport. It's incredible that LeBron James isn't the most arrogant man on planet Earth. Like you give me $1 million at 17 and say, also, you're the best basketball player that ever lived. I'm a problem. I'm a complete and total problem for the rest of my life. I know that about myself.
Bro, I'm going to jail. You gave me that money when I was 17, dog. No chance, bro. I would have had no chance. The first thing I would have bought is a golf cart just to drive around until I get arrested, dude.
An aftermarket one with with the governor taking off the battery. You're flying 40 miles per hour around the facility in that thing.
Oh yeah, we're talking gas, baby, gas powered. But speaking of LeBron, did you guys? I know we had a ton of football to talk about today, so I want to get this one out. Did you see what happened with LeBron this weekend?
Oh my God, yeah. The no call at the end of that game was egregious, and then they literally pulled the referees pulled like the South Park "I'm sorry" skit, but in real life it was like, I'm sorry, we really messed up, oopsie whoopsies, we'll do our best. What did they say? Like there will be sleepless nights lost about this mistake. That was the official statement from the NBA referees. There will be sleepless nights lost about this mistake, and we're working to put the best product. It was
what?
Right? Yeah. Can you believe they said that?
Oh, it was LeBron. It was tied tie game with like 8 seconds left or something. LeBron gets the ball, takes it to the hoop. He's got a pretty clean look at a layup, and Jason Tatum, this is against the Celtics. Jason Tatum just gets him right on the wrist. Like no doubt about it. Everybody, almost like I said, there's Marcus Smart jersey right there. That was a foul, right? The Lakers, he should have gone to the line to shoot 2. They should have won the game. Instead, it goes to overtime, and the Celtics win. But I will say, this whole incident gave us one of the best on-court moments in
it's incredible
in basketball with Patrick Beverley. Did you see what he did, Simon?
Yeah, I figured that's where you were going.
Patrick Beverley, such a punk, like the biggest punk since J.R. Smith. Dude, he goes and gets a camera from one of the photographers and brings it on the court over to the ref, as if holds it up like, look, here's a foul. As if the ref's gonna look at that picture on the camera and be like, you know what? You're right, Pat. You guys win. Of course, the ref turns around and he goes, technical
tease
foul.
Him up.
That with the camera, just like, look. Foul.
The look in his eyes, he knew he was getting teed up before he walked out there. You know what I mean? Like
the photographer, it's just like, hey, can I borrow you're probably like close to $10,000 camera?
Oh my God.
Maybe more.
Hey,
Pat Bev.
I'm incredibly
this
angry and trying to prove a point. Can I borrow your $10,000 camera?
I don't think there was much said beyond give me that. Oh my god,
Give me
dude.
that. Okay.
Yeah, dude. Pat Bev is, dude, he's a national treasure, man. I can't wait until he's actually fully part of the media, because they already have him go on like podcasts, and like the moment his team gets eliminated from the playoffs, Sports Center is like, you want to come on? And he's like, yeah. He's like,
I thought you never asked.
yeah. And he's like, what are we talking about? They're like, you can say whatever you want.
He's like, perfect. My favorite kind of show.
My favorite kind of show. He comes out, he's like, we might have lost this year, but the next 5 years are mine. Like, some role player. Oh, he is the best, man. I love that stuff, dude. I want more Pat Bevs. People hate him. I'm like, what's the hate, dude? He's the most entertaining guy.
Speaking of referee play, Bill
Yikes.
Simmons tweeted yesterday, you can't call the late hit on Mahomes after you ignored the late hit on Burrow a few minutes earlier. Those refs were horrible. They weren't even fishy bad, more completely incompetent bad. Great work, NFL.
Wow.
Yeah.
Bill
And
Simmons, dude.
he's not the only one. Rick Stroud tweeted out, regardless of the outcome today, officiating in the NFL isn't what a league with this many resources should settle for. Not a good day for the men in stripes. But Jill, those two guys, we got Bill Simmons, we got Rick Stroud, and those are two of just many voicing that same concern that you just brought up. It's the officiating seemed bad yesterday. It seemed all around just terrible from top to bottom. I can immediately think of like 4 or 5 calls from both games that stand out as just like, how did they miss that? And then how did they not catch it on the replay? Some of them were even reviewable plays, like the Devonta Smith catch in the Eagles-Niners game. Not that affected the outcome with the 49ers down to their 4th string quarterback and then some, but that set up a touchdown for those Eagles in that game, and it was a clear non-catch, an impressive non-catch, but a clear non-catch.
I tweeted on that. I was like, like when I was a kid, there was no replay at all. Just think of like if when I was a kid, all these calls would just be wrong. So the fact that they went in and were able to overturn like 2 in a row before the other bad ones started happening, the ones that you can't even challenge or you can't overturn, like crazy. Like there was no challenges back when I was a kid. It was just if the refs were trash, the game was ruined, right? So you know what I mean? Like, and then they had the rule where it was like, well, you can only challenge 1 call. So if the refs are real bad, tough luck, right? Like it's just like, at least now we're trying to get it right. Before it was like crazy. But you're right. The fact that NFL rigged was nationally trending on Twitter is not a good look for the league.
No. And Jay, I think the call that you're bringing up is the one that got people. It may not have been the most egregious because by definition, probably was a late hit out of bounds.
It was a late hit.
He had both feet out of bounds, and he had.
He was clearly heading out. He didn't need to be pushed.
I feel,
but I understand exactly. And that dude, Osai, had been having an unbelievable game prior to that. Like he was the heart and soul of that defense throughout the entire game. It felt like I heard his name more than anybody else's name throughout the game besides Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow.
About to hear his name a lot.
Yeah, that sucks for him. I stepped away from the TV and like, God, all I could think was I feel so bad for him. Not that they would have won, but just to have
on the bench after the game too, sitting there. Oh no!
Well, maybe a little silver lying here. There's no such thing as bad press, right? At least now everybody knows his name, and before you might not have. So, and he's a professional football player. He has a chance to redeem himself. So you can feel bad for him now, but hey, I didn't really know who that guy was. Now I definitely do.
Yeah,
good point. It's a good point. Yeah, it sucks. Craig said referees are humans. We should want and expect better, but missed calls exist every game, and we know it. Can't expect perfection. Craig, you're right.
So, but I will add one thing. Stupid. I can expect accountability. I don't have to accept perfection or expect perfection, but I can expect accountability from the referees. And based on what we've seen this season, they're not always accountable to their actions. And that's whenever I get frustrated and I expect more out of the referees. It's not the bad calls. Bad calls happen. I want the league to own the calls and try to make actual changes to make it better. Because for now, it just seems like the refs kind of have a control over the league whenever it comes to things like that. You're not allowed to criticize the referees as much out of concern for their jobs, but there needs to be some accountability on their end. Otherwise, it just gets frustrating as a fan to watch, and then oops, and then nothing gets changed.
Yeah. I bet the league will hold them accountable. The league usually does a nice little spank job, I think, after the games.
Bring on the Sky Judge. I'm ready.
You know, they had Gene working hard yesterday defending calls during that game on there. They had their on-air rules expert just working double duty trying to make those calls seem reasonable.
That's my favorite, dude. Now let's bring on a dude that works for the NFL referee group to defend the referees. Dean Blandino, you want to step in here and explain why this wasn't that bad of a call? Like Gene was just like,
there was one. I think it was can't remember who it was on the Bengals, but it was a pass interference called on them, and his arm, yes, was around the guy, but then they went and he's like, yeah, it's the classic hook and twist. The twist is what got it called, and they showed the replay, and they were like, well, wasn't much of a twist there, but the hook on its own is enough to call pass interference.
The old hook and turn.
The old hook and turn.
Yeah, he was giving him the business. That was my favorite referee call of all time.
No, I know people are pissed about it. I'm not sure. It's not where I'm sitting here going, the NFL's rigged or they wanted the Chiefs to make the Super Bowl. Because I think if it was rigged towards the Chiefs, it probably would have been a little bit more apparent. I'm not saying that, but it was bad. It was rough.
TB83 in the chat with a good point, though. The NFL is thankful that Osai made that mistake because it kind of takes the heat off all the calls, horrible calls, missed calls in the fourth quarter. Very true. Because you can now go back and point at that one play as well. If this guy didn't do this, then maybe this doesn't happen, right? So it does kind of take the heat off a lot of those bad calls, right?
100%. You kind of knew during this game that it was all going to come down to a field goal at the end, right? Like it was going to come down to a field goal or a Hail Mary at the end of this game to try to win it. It just had that feeling the entire time.
Yeah. Now we got a Chiefs-Eagles Super Bowl, boys.
Let's
go.
That's a good one. That'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch that one.
It will be fun. I'm excited to see Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. How cool. Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Brock Purdy. It is a new generation of starting quarterbacks sitting here that were in the championship games this weekend.
Brock Purdy.
Brock, for one of these things, is not like the
other. Crazy that they got down to they went all the way through 4 quarterbacks and had to circle back to the guy that couldn't throw. Right? They had
Brock Purdy,
Trey Lance, Jimmy G, Brock Purdy, Josh Johnson, and then they had to circle. And then they had to like pitch it to Christian McCaffrey so he could throw it. That's where they got, dude. That's so crazy that how that happens. We spend all week on this show and every show, going through the nitty gritty of pass defense versus the tight end and run defense, and then everyone just gets hurt, and they don't even have a guy that can throw the football, and none of it matters.
Yeah, that kind of sucks. Also, kind of incredible. Like you didn't realize that was their 3rd quarterback. Like until they got to their 4th, I think Brock Purdy had been just so fine in those games, had been good, had come out and lit it up. Do you forget that was their 3rd string quarterback? And usually that's a death sentence for a team, but instead they were sitting there in their conference championship game. They just went one quarterback too far down the list for it to work out for them.
Yeah, I think let that be a lesson to the teams out there. You need to have at least like 6 or 7 quarterbacks ready to plug.
How many teams do you think could get down to their 3rd string quarterback for the last 5 games of the season and still make the championship game?
Well, the thing is, you have to rule out the Saints because Taysom Hill is indestructible. So
and the Eagles because Gardner Minshew.
Because Gardner Minshew's too strong.
He's their backup, right?
This is too strong. Yeah.
If Gardner Minshew,
he's also the 3rd, 4th, and 5th. That's great.
If Gardner Minshew
breaks his right arm, put in the 3rd string.
It's Gardner Minshew
with his left hand,
shaves his mustache and throws lefty. Yeah. Which might be better than Josh Johnson.
It's just still better than Josh Johnson.
Man, whenever Josh Johnson got put in the game, sometimes Reddit just cracks me up, man. On the Dynasty subreddit, immediately there was a post that was like, is Josh Johnson a sneaky ad in Dynasty leagues? And then like the body of the post read, if Josh Johnson comes in, wins this game, and then leads them to a Super Bowl, could he realistically be the starter of the San Francisco 49ers next year? And should I pick him up in Dynasty right now? And I was like, Yes,
that.
That's how
kind of-
I felt about Brock Purdy. All the Brock Purdy hype, though. It's like, is Brock Purdy going to replace Trey Lance? No.
That's what I love about Reddit, though. It's like they'll stick it to you exactly like that, man. And dude, I couldn't help right when Josh Johnson came in, I couldn't help but think of the best possible timeline for this nightmare argument in San Francisco, which would be that Josh Johnson comes in, wins the game, and then 2 weeks later for the Super Bowl, Jimmy G comes back and wins the Super Bowl. That would have been the timeline that just threw everybody for a loop. Can you imagine if the Super Bowl winning quarterback with the 49ers is Jimmy G, and then all offseason we have to have the argument on Trey Lance versus Brock Purdy?
No, thank you.
And throw Jimmy G back in there just for good measure. Not
And
only have
Jimmy
Jimmy G win the Super Bowl, have him win Super Bowl MVP.
And Josh Johnson, because he would have beat the Eagles. Get him in there, too.
Brock Purdy comes back for like the game-winning play.
Oh, so good.
Tommy wants to know, what do you do if you are San
Good
Francisco? Who is the QB next year? Trey
Lance.
Should be Trey Lance, yeah.
Trey Lance. You
Trey
sold your
Lance.
entire future for Trey Lance. You plug him in as a starting quarterback.
The thing about Trey Lance is that he has the great time. And this is the same thing that kind of was going on. I felt this way when we in New England, when they were having the debate with Cam Newton versus everybody else, is that when you're Trey Lance, all you have to do is throw it as well as Brock Purdy. You don't even have to throw it better than Brock Purdy. Or you could actually probably throw it a little bit worse than Brock Purdy in practice, because you have something Brock Purdy doesn't have, which is your running ability, right? So if you can at least throw it at a similar level, then you're going to get that job because you have that X factor, right? So I think that puts Trey Lance out way in front in the head-to-head competition for this team, right? Unless he's making mental mistakes or something. Like, how much better does Brock Purdy have to be at throwing the football for you to ignore Lance's rushing ability?
10 times better.
I think
Jail's
Jail.
speechless.
It's
Gotta be amazing.
got to be amazing, right? So that's the tough battle that Mr. Brock Purdy faces. Not to mention Trey Lance was the third pick in the draft, and he was the very last pick in the draft.
And Trey Lance has a sparkle in his eye that makes it hard to say no. I have a feeling he's going to walk up and just go, Kyle Shanahan, can I be the starter, please?
Please.
And he's going to say, yes, Trey. Because truly, when that dude got drafted, I liked Trey Lance. And then he gave his post-draft speech, and just the look of pure joy in his eyes was like, oh, I'm a Trey Lance fan now. I'm in. I like this kid.
To be honest with you, I don't care who it is, as long as Shanahan doesn't take his running back philosophy over to quarterback now, and we start doing the hot hand quarterback, which would be the worst possible thing.
Hot hand quarterback would be a terrible strategy.
Right? Like one dude throws a couple picks and you yank him, and then the other guy
Then
plays
you put
okay.
Jarek McKinnon in.
Oh,
He's not on the Chiefs anymore. He's now back on the 49ers,
Yeah.
and he's getting it done at quarterback. The
now
49ers
on
new
the
quarterback. Everyone on the roster at some point during the season. They become the
Right.
first NFL team to have every player on the roster throw a pass at some point during the year.
they
Wait a
kind of
minute, we discovered something.
they were kind of doing that when Christian McCaffrey threw that pass. I think we all felt it. Everyone out there that said I could, run this 49er, I could win games with this 49ers football team. No, you can't. Christian McCaffrey was out there throwing that panic ball out to left field where no one was there. That's the best.
I feel like you said that, Coop.
That's the best you would look out there. I definitely said that, and I still believe it.
And I stand by it.
I stand by it. I'm talking about everybody out there on Twitter, not me, dude. Laser, rocket arm.
Plug.
Check out these guns, baby.
Plug me in,
Guns.
dude. Plug me in.
Did you guys see the Cowboys and Kellen Moore parted ways?
I was a little bit surprised by this.
Offensive
Not a little bit.
coordinator.
I was a lot of bit surprised by this. I feel like his name for the past couple of years has been one of the hottest head coaching candidate names. Kellen Moore. He's a young offensive mind, but I felt like it was kind of like the darling of Dallas. It felt
The
like
darling of
the
Dallas.
darling of Dallas, Kellen Moore. But
Yeehaw.
they're tired of these piss poor results in the playoffs, and they had to change something. So they got rid of the offensive coordinator. We'll see what comes next. He'll land another job. He might still land a head coaching job. At the very least, he's going to land a good offensive coordinator job.
I'll tell you what.
Tell
We
me.
need to tell you what, we need to reserve reservation on these moves because we've seen it before where two guys disagree, one of them gets fired. It turns out might have fired the wrong guy. Example of that, in my opinion, is with the Panthers. They went out, hired Matt Rule and Joe Brady at the same time. Joe Brady being the former LSU coach that coached Joe Burrow in that squad there. And then they fired Joe Brady halfway through the first season for disagreements he had with Matt Rule. Then it turned out a couple of years later, maybe Matt Rule isn't that good of a coach. Meanwhile, the Bills swooped up Joe Brady. Now he's the quarterback coach over there. So it's like you sit back and it's like, well, maybe we should have fired Matt Rule and kept Joe Brady. So there's a very real possibility that maybe the Cowboys should have been firing Mike McCarthy and not Kellen Moore.
That's the side I tend to lean on. That tends to be my opinion. I was truly surprised that if someone got let go, that it was Kellen Moore. I thought it was a possibility that Mike McCarthy did get let go, even with him making the playoffs. But man, I'm curious what Craig thinks in the chat, our Cowboys fan. John Luke, do you like this move? Were you surprised by this move?
I was a bit surprised by it. I don't know how I feel about Mike McCarthy. I don't know if I believe that he is as much of a genius as Jerry Jones thinks he is. Isn't he notoriously anti-analytics?
I think Jerry Jones is the only person that thinks he's a genius.
That's true. A lot of people like Mike McCarthy, though. There's a lot of Mike McCarthy love out there.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I always look back at these and I'm like, was Mike McCarthy a good coach or is Aaron Rodgers a good quarterback?
That's what I'm saying. I think I'm more in that camp.
I think so.
I look at him, he doesn't look like head coach. He looks like my friend's dad at the local barbecue. Know what I mean? Like you show up.
Jerry. I don't know why. Like, oh, there's Jerry. Jerry Jones.
Oh my God, he looks a bit like Jerry from Parks and Rec, doesn't he? Mike McCarthy has the same face as Jerry.
You can just see him get like a pie getting slowly smushed into his face.
Jerry, Gary, Larry. I just look at him on the sideline.
Good morning, guys. What up, Dustin?
He's calling plays for me and my other 8-year-old buddies while he's flipping burgers at the grill, like not even looking. He's like, yeah, just
go deep.
Go deep. Exactly. That's the only play is go deep. And every kid in the neighborhood runs and he just chucks it up.
Every time. He does the whole like in the backyard football move where you start drawing the play on the ball. You go left, straight.
Yeah,
you go deep
over here, and then you whoop around over here.
There was Connor? There was a moment in yesterday's game. I wish I could remember what play it was on so I could go back and find it. But where they went to go draw the route on the screen, but something happened because all of a sudden the line was just like crazy squiggly, and then it disappeared, and then they redrew a clean one. But for like 1 second, it was just like, and then he ran this route. It was just all over the screen. Craig said Jerry was going to make a move after a disappointing season, but I don't like it. Mike is a yes man for Jerry, so he gets a longer leash.
Exactly. That's how it feels, man. It's the guys he likes, dude. And the thing is, like you look around that room, the guys he likes, Zeke, Dak, Mike McCarthy, those are the guys getting the most criticism from the outside. So we'll see, you know?
Yeah.
And Amari Cooper just had arguably his best season, which is the guy that he got rid of.
Send him out of here. Not enough salt on that McMuffin.
Speaking of the Cowboys, gotta talk to you guys and ask your opinion on a guy that has been one of my favorite announcers, but as of late, we talked a little bit about it, but he's kind of gone off the reservation, maybe lost his way a little bit. Tony Romo, once again this week dude, he seemed like he was outwardly rooting for Patrick Mahomes. That was the vibe that I was getting during this game. I'm not sure if you guys felt the same way, but like he could not stop with the same thing he was doing with Josh Allen. He would not stop with the gushing over Patrick Mahomes and calling him Michael Jordan 1992 versus Clyde Drexler and all this stuff. And it was like it would carry over into into when the Bengals had the football. I mean, at one point, Mecole Hardman was down on the ground, hurt, and Romo like made them show 3 replays of Patrick Mahomes kind of like wincing a little bit because his ankle hurt. And meanwhile, Mecole Hardman is being like carried off the field. Like to me, it seemed like, and I love Romo. It seems like he gets so carried away with these narratives, especially when he likes a player, like one specific player. I'm not sure if you guys feel the same.
I have noticed that, but I I have a theory that I buy into, and it's that after last year, where he really was predicting plays, he was a bit more analytical. He was asked to step it back a notch going into this season, like we've talked about with Jeff Gordon previously in NASCAR, right? I think maybe it wasn't as appealing to the normal football fan, and the typical football fan is going to connect a lot more with, I freaking love Patrick Mahomes, I freaking love Josh Allen, than with, oh, whenever the quarterback lines up like this and the lineman is like that, you can tell this is the play that's coming. Like, we love that. But it could be a network decision, network instruction to Romo. Hey, take a step back, because you're right, Coop. It does seem like a drastic difference from like the unbelievable predictions and analysis we were getting last season to kind of this like QB love fest that it seems like we've been getting, especially in the postseason here.
And how much control does he have over what play, like things they're replaying or not? That part to me that's like the question that passes in my head, is like, how much is his control versus like a producer who's directing it and he's got to talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, but they do have some, you can tell they have some liberty on that, because like you know when they say pull it up or when they say like let's take a look. But yeah, you're right. There are definitely times where the producer wants to look at it instead. But yeah, some of those are problematic. I think that, you know, if they did tell them to dial that back, then there's some other things they need to tell them to dial back, like the ball washing of the quarterbacks. And also, is it necessary for him to say Jim so many times?
Jim.
He's just like, I don't know, Jim. Like every sentence he has to mix Jim Nance's name in there somehow. Like, dude, you don't need to say Jim so much. We know who the other guy is.
He just read a business book that told you that you need to continue to repeat the other person's name to make sure they feel heard. And he's just getting his
Dale Carnegie.
He's getting his reps in. Yeah, he read some Dale Carnegie, and now he's just trying to.
The name is the most beautiful sound to somebody.
He's name dropping Jim hard every single game, so we can back it up. Like, again, I love Romo. I still, even this version of Romo, I like better than a lot of announcers. But we can dial it back on the Jims.
Dustin said Romo's gotten so bad. Greg Olsen is way better, and Jay said Greg Olsen is the best currently. But there's some drama with Greg Olsen. There's some drama with Greg Olsen because Tom Brady is gunning for that spot on Fox. And there was a quote this weekend. I thought it's funny because I was listening to Greg Olsen announce this weekend, and I was thinking back to when there was a news report months ago, whenever they were rumors that Tom Brady was going to take his spot. And I'm pretty sure Greg Olsen said something along the lines of, this TV shit sucks.
Oh.
And then today he comes out and he says, or this weekend he says, I've come to grips with it, which is him talking about Tom Brady taking his spot. And he said, and I'm going to make it hard as hell on them to try and replace me.
Good for him. That's a good attitude to have. Better than the attitude he had before when he quit and went back to play football for another year.
Third leg Greg.
Yeah, but hey, yeah, that's all you can do. You know what I mean? There's already a contract in place for like over $100 million supposedly for Tom Brady. So it's only a matter of time. He's just got to root for Tom to keep playing football, and then, you know, work on his contract, and then, you know, maybe he ends up somewhere like CBS or one of those places.
Greg ends up getting in trouble for like tampering and meddling, as you find out he's like puppet mastering behind the scenes, putting together a Super Bowl team for Tom Brady. Like, all these moves start happening to the Raiders, and you're like, what the hell's going on? Tom Brady signs there, and then it turns out Greg Olsen was the mastermind behind it all, paying players off.
Wouldn't doubt it.
It was me all along. Ha 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 ha.
That's just actually what he sounds like.
Yesterday I was thinking about it. He sounds more like, it was me all along.
Like a Snidely Whiplash.
Yeah.
And I tied her to the tracks.
I'm Greg Olsen.
Coop, you know, I didn't realize how often he says Jim. I think because I always forget who the announcers are. So I kind of appreciate it when they say the name so often. Like,
oh yeah, Jim. Oh yeah, Charles.
Okay, it's Jim. Oh yeah, it's Al. Al's the other guy up there.
Al. Yeah. No, he's dropping a lot. He's dropping a lot of Jims.
You don't need anyone to say Al's name for you to know Al's up there.
Like Charles. Whenever it's Charles Wood, I'm like, oh, I'm playing Madden.
Who's your favorite all-time announcer?
Al Michaels.
It's now Charles Wood.
He's great. I like Gus Johnson.
Gus Johnson.
He's so good. Big, strong arm quarterback. Like, he does get carried away. He's probably best in college basketball, like March Madness. That's where Gus Johnson really shines. But I just like how excited he gets. He gets fired up. Dude. A big highlight with Gus Johnson. Trip on.
Chef's kiss.
Chef's kiss. TB83 said Romo is being instructed to create godlike personas for the elite QBs.
I'm with you. I think he is being instructed to do that.
He's doing it.
He's doing it.
He's
sure doing it.
He's going above and beyond, dude. Above and beyond.
Well, guys, coming up, we are going to play some games here on this Monday after conference championship weekend. We're going to solve the Weddle together coming up very shortly. We're going to play a game called Feeling Lucky Punk. We're going to recap these conference championship games. Then we're going to play a game called Sell Me This Pen, where our contestants will have to sell, I don't know, fantasy football players or anything potentially. Right now, you're watching the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
Front Yard Fantasy with Simon, JL, and Coop.
Sell me on doing away with the 2-conference system in the NFL.
Is it really a sale whenever this is something that's commonly agreed upon? I'm selling you on water being wet. I'm selling you on something that is objectively true right here. We look at teams at the end of the season and we go, how the hell does one team have such an easy schedule while another team is just absolutely getting obliterated? And that's because of the 2-conference system, because the division system feeds into this conference system. It's a symptom of the greater problem. Like these divisional matchups, you're telling me it's fair that the Buccaneers are in the playoffs after playing the Panthers twice, the Falcons twice, and the Saints twice this year? That is unbelievable. There are multiple more deserving teams every single year that because of this system where we silo them into random groups, it determines the order. And yes, originally this was geography based, right? We have these divisions, they were geography. It's 2023, my dudes. Geography doesn't matter whenever it comes to the size of the United States. These teams can travel anywhere. They don't need to geographically locate them in divisions or conferences to make the games make more sense. If USC can be in the Big Ten, why the hell can't Miami play San Francisco every year? It can happen. They've got more money than these colleges and they're not taking classes. All it does is create an ecosystem where less talented teams can get rewarded for playing in weaker divisions and more talented teams are punished for continuing to improve.
Damn, bro.
Drop the mic.
I like to picture some geography teacher out there just threw a pen on the ground. He was like, how dare you? He smacked the globe. He was like, what do you
all
mean?
the hard work we've done.
2023 geography doesn't matter, right? Smacks his
You know
globe.
how long it took for us to get respect?
Globe goes spinning around, right? Geography doesn't matter. How dare
I'm
you?
just imagining they ripped on the world map and underneath is algebra 2. Like they just go straight into being a math teacher.
Yeah.
Lunch Money with Kyle and Ray. Weekdays at noon Eastern, presented by FantasyGuru.com.
Paper straws. Oh, they're so bad, Ray. I mean, I'm almost tempted to say screw Mother Earth. Give me a real straw. The paper straw thing is a step too far in saving the planet for me.
It's a great idea. The problem is it has to last. Like it can't go mushy halfway through my drink.
That's
And
the
I think
problem.
That's the problem. They have a hard time standing up if you don't drink that.
100%. That's my issue, Ray. I'm all for taking care of the only planet we got. But Ray, some people like to drive a lot. I don't. I don't get on them for they have to drive 20 minutes to work every day. Can I just get a plastic straw? Like I think, Ray, we should be able to pay for a card that says, I don't drive every day, so they said I could have this kind of environmental impact by getting a plastic straw. I am in favor, Ray, of government-issued plastic straws if I have the proof that I'm worthy of such a thing. If you want it, you get it. It's kind of like the Clear Pass. You know,
Yeah,
at the
there you go.
airport.
Okay.
Like, Ray, I'd be willing to pay an extra $2 a year, and I get as many plastic straws as I want when I go out to the restaurant.
And the $2 goes toward cleaning the oceans or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's not a terrible idea. Not terrible.
Call, chat, enter contests in real time. It's Sports Talk 3.0 with Better Sports Network.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. We fired JL. We were a little bit sick of him at this point in time. We'll see if we let him back on. But Coop, you honestly had the last call. What was the final straw for you that led to the firing of John Luke?
You know what it was? It was the juice cup. I mean, we need consistency on this show. You got to come in here. I mean, it was one thing. Like, I know he was on the road. He's playing a road game, but he was drinking out of a gravy boat one day, and I was like, okay, you know what? You're
But
on.
it was white and it had a handle.
It was white and it was on a handle, but this one clear. He's out, man. But the good news is that it frees us up to bring on another one of the favorites in a full-time role, and that's pretty
Greg
much
Olsen.
everyone's favorite. It's Dr. JJ Jiman.
I've been wanting to meet him. I missed him last time he was on.
Hey, you guys had that baking thing or whatever it was, but yeah, Dr. JJ Jeff Jiman. Man, I mean, he's an expert on just about everything. So it'd be good to have him on replace JL. So well, I'll miss JL. I don't know what you think. You miss him a little bit, or
I'll miss him a little bit. We got Illmind in here, said I would love a Phillip Rivers commentary as an announcer. Would you like seeing Phillip Rivers in the booth, Coop? You've said before how much you love Phillip Rivers in an interview.
Love Phillip Rivers, dude. He is the best. And the funny thing is, for a long time, I didn't like Phillip Rivers. A big part of that was I was a Patriots fan, and it was before I was it was before I got into this, and I was a little less like now. I have to be unbiased. If anything, I'm biased against the Patriots in fantasy football. But back then, I was very biased. So anybody that said anything negative about the Patriots, I didn't like them. So I didn't like LaDainian Tomlinson. I didn't like Phillip Rivers complaining to yelling at fans and stuff. But then once I saw him talk about how much he loves football, I realized that it's just passion, and the more that, the better. So give me Phillip Rivers. That clip that we played the other day with what's better than Thursday Night Football with 53 your best good buddies, right? That's the Phillip Rivers I see now, and I appreciate. So yeah, give me Phillip Rivers. Absolutely, don't mind. I wonder what he's doing right now, besides raising like 1 million kids.
I was gonna say raising 1 million children is exactly what he's doing.
Yeah. So pretty wild, man. But yeah, he's a character. I'm actually surprised that he didn't go in the booth. That was my thought for him. But you can't have every single ex-QB in the booth,
No, you got to just pick and choose. Though an ex-QB who's been in the booth this year that I've just fallen in love with as an announcer is RG3. Not a commentator, but as like an analyst, an on-screen personality, right? Or he's done some college football games as well that have been absolutely unbelievable that he's called. He's not doing NFL, but God, I just love RG3 as an announcer. He's so much fun. I feel like he takes away the air of like pretentiousness around announcing. Not that these other announcers are pretentious, but I feel like they filter themselves. They stop themselves from saying things. They play the announcer version of themselves. I feel like RG3 is just RG3 when he's announcing, and you get everything he's thinking.
Yeah, that's the best, man. I also really like Nate Burleson. And these guys are they're setting the bar really high nowadays, which makes it tough to come in and be. It's like Tom Brady. We know that we think he's going to be an amazing announcer, but why? Because he's a great quarterback, because he was in Ted 2 or whatever, or Ted. Like, I don't know.
That's why I thought he was going to be a great announcer.
Yeah,
it was the Ted 2 cameo.
I don't know. He's obviously knowledgeable about the game, but we don't know. You know what I mean? So we'll have to see. He's going to be a rookie coming in for the first time in 20-something years. So it'll be interesting to see how he does. But yeah, I do love some of these new announcers. Nate Burleson, one of my very favorites.
The one thing about Tom Brady is that dude, I feel like, hates being bad at something, loves being good at something, but also has the drive to fix it if he's bad at something. So even if he comes out bad, I don't think he's the kind of dude who's just going to like call it quits on announcing. You know what I mean? He's going to study film 40 hours a day on becoming the world's best announcer and then hop back in there, and we'll eventually get a good Tom Brady announcer. JL, we decided to bring you back. How's it going?
Hello. I'm very grateful to be back. Thank you for having me.
Unfired. Welcome back.
Coming on.
Thank you.
You've been unfired. Keith, you're fired because you took so long to get JL back. I figure we do have to mention, while we're talking about announcers, unfortunately, a legendary announcer and analyst, Billy Packer, passed away. He's a guy mostly known for college basketball, did the Final Four. So, rest in peace to Billy Packer, obviously a mega star in the broadcasting world.
Yeah. And we've talked about it on this show before. You hear athletes come out and talk about how some of these announcers, they consider their first best friends, right? Like you're sitting at home watching games and these are the guys that are talking to you every single day. So I know he made an impact in a bunch of people's lives, impacted their sports viewing experience. Rest in peace, Billy Packer. Elmine Jedi in here as well with an RIP Billy. John Luke,
Simon.
we waited for you to solve the daily Weddle that we decided we were going to start doing here on the show. JL, do you want to let people know a little bit about what the Weddle is before we go in and just solve it here?
Sure, I can absolutely do that. Weddle, if you haven't played before, is similar to Wordle. It's an online game where you guess NFL players, and it's going to tell you things about that player, such as their conference, their team, their height, their position, their weight. And I think that's it. Can't remember any of the other attributes. You get a certain number of guesses to try and get it correct. If one of those attributes is close, it'll give you a yellow. If it is incorrect, it'll just stay the same color. And if it's correct, it'll be green. So we got to deduce which player it is.
Are we doing the normal mode or the hard mode, John Luke? Or are we doing both, one after another?
Up to you guys.
Let's start with normal. See if we knock it out. What do you think?
All right. I'm cool with that. Chat, we need your help on this one. You got to help us out.
Play along with us. We get 8 guesses to try to get the player. I've got it pulled up here. And you guys can have it pulled up on your computer. Play along. We can all put the same guesses in. Whatever works as far as tracking goes. That might be easiest.
Oh, we can? Oh, that's right. All right.
All right, so who are we going with first, boys?
Coop, give us our starting player. Our starting player. A good, strong starting player that might give us some information.
Dustin
Okay.
says, yes!
Yes!
We need your help, Dustin. We're solving this as an entire team, chat included.
All right, let's see. Starting player. Well, I'm going to pick a position. I haven't really done a lot of these, but I'm going to pick a position. There's at least 2 offensive tackle. Well, what position are there the most players of? Wide receivers? Offensive linemen, maybe?
Feels like wide receivers. Do they do offensive linemen?
I think
That's
they
what I
do,
was
yeah.
checking right here to see if they're if we've got updates on the rules in here. So in normal mode, will be a fantasy player, so only wide receivers, running backs, quarterbacks, and tight ends.
All right, give me let's make it hard for Simon to type it. Give me Demir Bird.
Jameer Bird. You doing it, Simon?
Yeah, we can all pull it up as well. Demir Bird. Okay. Position is correct. It is a wide receiver.
Yes.
The team incorrect. So not on the Falcons. The division, NFC South, not correct. Not in the NFC South.
But it's yellow, which means he's in the NFC.
Oh, it didn't show up as yellow for me.
Me neither.
Mine shows up as yellow. I'm in normal mode, and I guess Demir Bird, it shows up yellow for NFC South.
Not for me or JL right here.
Okay, well, we'll go off yours.
Wide receiver correct. The height, not yellow, but the age, 29. It says they are younger than 29.
So
Younger than 29, but it is yellow.
Okay,
so it's
so
yellow.
Here's the thing.
It's yellow, guys.
Here's the curveball.
Their number is less than 14 as well, and their height is higher than 5'9".
Yeah, so mine says all that information except it has NFC South yellow. So mine says Atlanta, NFC South, wide receiver, 5'9", 29, 14, but NFC South is yellow.
Taller than 5'9".
All the numbers are going to be the same because they're all about Demir Bird. It'll just be the colors and the arrows.
Okay, cool. All right, so
less than 14. We got to think of a wide receiver.
Now I need pen and
jersey
paper.
number is less than 14.
Is he taller than 5'9"?
Taller than
5'9".
And younger
Mike
than
Evans'
29.
jersey number is less than 14, right? No, it's not.
13.
It's 13. That's less than 14, but it's not close. The number wasn't yellow, which makes me think it's quite a bit lower. Jamar Chase is taller than 5'9", younger than 29, not in the NFC South, and his number is 1, which is
Here's
much
the only
lower
thing
than
is
14.
would his age be yellow if it was Jamar Chase?
Probably not. And Squirrel Bob saying, what is it called? It's called Weddle, Weddle. Also, Dustin reminded us we need an AFC wide receiver since division is not yellow.
Right.
So Dustin did it this morning and is getting that as well. So Coop, I don't know what's going on yours, but we need an AFC wide receiver, taller than 5'9", under 29, with a number lower than 14.
Yeah, I had to X out of mine because it was confusing me. All right, so who's up for the guess?
We're working together, Joe. You got any names that come to mind? An AFC wide receiver with a number below 14.
AFC wide receiver with a number below 14. What about what's Keenan Allen's number? He's older than 29.
He's 13, but he's older than 29.
I immediately went Amari Cooper, but he's number 2, but he's also older than 29.
Yeah.
Rashad Bateman?
Mike Williams?
Way younger. 81.
Mike Williams is number 81. Shoot.
Yeah. Let's see.
Hunter Renfrow. No, the height would be closer because he's not that much taller. He's like 5'10", 5'11".
Right.
I think he's 5'10" exactly.
Jamar Chase, we get it.
Why don't we go with Jamar Chase? Well, we were saying the age it's probably not Jamar Chase because of age, but that'll at least give us more information.
Jamar Chase is under 29.
So yellow.
I know, but it's yellow, and so it means he's probably close to 29, and he's what, 23?
Yeah, he's not close.
Well, we could get some answers, some information guessing.
Yeah, so I'm cool with making that guess.
Okay, let's go ahead and pull Jamar Chase in there. Okay, he is older than 22, and it's not close. We knew that. He is taller than 6 foot. So we know that, and it's close. That one's yellow. The number is higher than 1, and that one's yellow as well. We've got the division correct now. So they are in the AFC North. But the team
we got the conference correct. We got the division wrong.
So he's not in the AFC North.
He's not in AFC North. He is in AFC.
Okay.
Mine is fully green for AFC North.
Weddle's got some bugs, bro.
We all have different ones.
And Dustin said easiest thing is trying to find the division. Dustin, let us know if yours was AFC North is correct, because I'm trying to figure out what's going on here, that we've all got different ones. It should be the same for everybody, right? Or is it different over here?
Squirrelbot says is green for AFC West. What if we all got different players?
Are we all operating from the same thing right
Are
there?
you on
and
Weddle?
No, yes, AFC West.
Are you on WeddleGame.com or Weddle Unlimited?
I'm on WeddleGame.com.
I think I was on the wrong one before, because now I think I'm getting the same results as you. Okay.
I'm on WeddleGame.com.
Okay, let me try again. I just refreshed, and this is now looking exactly like Dale said it should. AFC North is yellow. Sorry about that, guys. Hey, well, Dale, we were in sync for that first one for some reason, but now we're sitting here looking at it. AFC North is correct. I've got no yellows on height, age, or number, and all of them are taller, which taller than 6 foot in the AFC, but not in the AFC North, older than 22, and the number higher than 1.
Okay, I have a guess then.
What do you got?
All of these. And he's an AFC East player, Devontae Parker. He's number 11 on the Patriots.
Ooh.
Devontae Parker. So not in the AFC East. Taller than 6'3", but we're closer on the height. Younger than 30. So the age was not right on that one.
Ooh, this guy's taller than 6'3", our guy?
Taller than 6'3". Number higher than Devontae Parker's number was also 1. So we didn't get any additional number information from there either.
Yeah. So we got taller than 6'3". There's not too many guys that fit that bill.
Yeah, we got some
AFC. He's either in the West or the South.
How tall is Jerry Jeudy?
He's not 6'4". He's not 6'4".
No.
Cortland
What about
Sutton.
Sutton? Yeah, Cortland Sutton's a big guy on that team. And what number is Cortland Sutton?
Cortland Sutton's pretty young. He's 27. Cortland Sutton's number 14, so it would be exact if it was Cortland Sutton.
Okay, so it's not Cortland Sutton, but some information to be had there.
Nico
Jay
Collins
guessing
from
Nico Collins.
Yeah,
but he's young. He's only like 23 or 24. He's 23.
What's Devontae Adams' number?
I can't remember what Devontae Adams' number is.
17.
Ah,
Yeah, that's higher. Mac Hollins.
I think 4 though.
is he that tall?
I thought he was a big guy. I thought Mac Hollins was a tall dude.
Could be Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
Ooh, Marquez Valdez-Scantling. He's tall.
He's tall.
I actually like that guess, Coop.
Let's give
I'll
that
go
one
with
a
that.
spin.
You want to try Marquez Valdez-Scantling?
Boom.
Let's hit it.
We got it, baby. We got it.
Bingo.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Try.
and now we know. Refresh the page. Make sure we're on the same page. There were some hiccups getting there, but we got it correct, guys. Marquez Valdez-Scantling is the answer to this puzzle on Kansas City in the AFC West. A wide receiver, 6'4", 28 years old, and number 11 on the field. Nice job.
Very good. He had a great game. He had a great game yesterday. Somebody out there won a bunch of money in DFS because they started Marquez Valdez-Scantling. I didn't double check it, but there's no doubt in my mind. I mean, he led the game in receiving yards and scored a touchdown, right?
He did. He looked pretty good out there too. Man, that one catch by him, and honestly, the throw by Patrick Mahomes was beautiful as well. I know it was a little bit behind him, but that catch by MVS was just unbelievable. Like, that dude just looked so good out there. I forget how tall he is until he reaches back behind him like 6 feet and plucks a ball out of midair. Like, the ball looks well without of the range of any human's capabilities to grab it. He's like, no, I got it.
Yeah.
A little go-go gadget action on that.
Little go gadget.
Yeah. Also, Tommy said bingo and then said, yep, in the captain spot. Someone had MVS sitting there in the captain spot.
Sicko, dude. You're a sick individual.
An absolute sicko to do that, guys.
Yeah.
Absolute sicko. Do you guys do any of the other word puzzles on a daily basis? Like any of the Wordle, Quirtle, Mathler, Worldle, anything like that?
No, I used to do a bunch of those, but no, I don't. Anymore. Worldle. I kind of like that. Is that geography?
Worldle will give you it gives you a rock and says what rock name that rock.
Yep.
It's just one of the
Hard or
three
soft?
every day. It's like ignis.
Actor or object?
Hard place or rock?
Damn. I don't know.
I keep getting stuck between them.
Hard place or rock. That's the one I just said. Dustin said my daily routine is Weddle, framed, waffle, factal, and Wordle. And Joey Wright says I do framed with my coffee. I'm a Wordle and Quirtle kind of guy. I do Wordle and then I do Quirtle. Quirtle's my favorite. That's the one I like look forward to.
Framed is a movie. You do all those every day, Dustin? Weddle, framed, waffle, factal, and Wordle. Wow. Strong. That's a strong start today.
Worldle is where they show you the shape of a country, just the outline of it. And you have like 6 guesses to tell you, and it tells you how far away from the country you are in kilometers after every single guess.
I play this game on my iPad sometimes. It's called like Geocacher or something. No, not Geocacher. It's some game where you GeoGuessr. Yeah, have you played that game before?
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun, and you have to like figure out where you are in the world based like looking around, like context clues, like if there's like palm trees or if you can like read a license plate or something. You know, it's pretty great.
Yeah, I mean, and then there's people, we've talked about this on here before. I feel like there's guys that are just
sick,
people that are unbelievable at it. Where they'll look at it and they'll see like the stripes on a telephone pole and be like, that's Albania for sure. They're the only country in the world that paints yellow stripes 3 inches thick on their telephone poles in the rural countries. Like, it's absurd. Absolutely absurd. And Dustin said, I used to do the geography ones, but didn't find them challenging. Man, that Worldle some days gets tough because they're not just doing countries. They've also got like minor outlying territories. If you're getting that one with 100% consistency, Dustin, then you are a geography wizard.
Got today's in 3 guesses.
Nailed it. Good work.
It was a little island, I guess Haiti, and it said it was 96% right. So I guess Dominican Republic.
You're just gonna spoil it in case anyone wants to play the Worldle? Not me.
I didn't spoil it, but I just gave somebody some great hints. So you could probably get it in 1 now. Sorry, all the Worldle players out there. You got to get up a little bit before 8:14 Eastern time if you don't want to get spoiled.
You gotta be quicker than that.
Gotta be.
This is your fault.
You got to be up early in the morning if you don't want me to ruin things for you. Guess what the
I sent
frame
my
is?
sister that you got to be quicker than that GIF like 3 times this weekend because it kept trying to send her this TikTok, but it would get taken down off of TikTok before I could send it to her every time. But then it would get re-uploaded. I would send it to her, and then before she would watch it, it would get taken back down. And so every time it was just like, oh, you got to be quicker than
Never
that.
thought to screenshot it,
A TikTok?
screen cap it. Yeah.
Oh,
Screen
no.
record?
No, I didn't. I don't want that on my phone. I just want to send a
Oh.
video.
Oh, it was bad. It was naughty. I didn't know that.
No, it's just funny. It's just funny. It's just funny. Well, guys, we're about to get into our next game called Feeling Lucky Punk. This is a game where we're competing in a game of intellectual chicken. Contestants are going to be given a challenge of sorts, something like, how many players from your dynasty team would you be willing to cut from your roster right now? Or how many of the top 12 PPR wide receivers do you think you can name? The contestant who bids the highest during that bidding round will be responsible for guessing. Fulfill your bet. Do what you said you were going to do. You're going to get all of those points, but fail, and all of those points will go towards your opponent. So you want to have the highest bid, but you do not want to overpromise what you can deliver on. We are adding or changing up one more rule here. After you reach the amount that you've said you were going to reach, you can keep going for more points, but it is going to be pressure luck style. If you miss any of the additional names or pieces of the challenges that you said you can do, it will go to your opponent. All of the points will go your opponent's direction. We'll play a certain number of rounds like this, and then whoever has the most points will be our You Feeling Lucky Punk champion for today.
Lucky.
I like
Coop,
it.
are you
All right,
feeling
you boys
lucky,
ready?
Punk?
I don't know. Last time I was feeling pretty. This game is tough. This might be one of the tougher games that we play.
This is a tough one. All right, boys, let's get into it. Our first challenge prompt, Feeling Lucky Punk, is players. Wait a minute. Yeah, I'm supposed to say this. Players. How many of players with the most yards from scrimmage in 2022 can you name? How many players with the most yards from scrimmage in 2022 can you name? Simon, you will be giving the first bid on this one. What?
How many players with the most yards from scrimmage can I name?
Of how many?
What?
There's no limit to your list. Every player in the NFL would be on that list, even if they had 0 yards.
You're right. All right. How many of the top 12 players from
Top 12.
scrimmage? Yeah, thank you.
4.
5.
I'm in with 4.
Coop with 5
Coop.
yards from scrimmage. I'll let Coop play at 5. I'm going to let Coop play at 5.
All right, Coop at 5. Coop, you have 5 players to name. These have to be one of the top 12 players, the most scrimmage yards of 2022 season.
And I have to
Get
get
whenever you're
5 without getting one wrong, right?
Yeah.
Could be tough. I'm going to go with Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek Hill is on this list at number 6.
Ooh.
So that's 1, not Coop.
Tyreek Hill. I will go with Justin Jefferson.
Justin Jefferson is number 4 on this list. That's 2.
Justin Jefferson. I'm going to go with Austin Eckler.
Austin Eckler's number 8 on this list.
I will also go with.
What's it going to be?
Yards from scrimmage. Give me Christian McCaffrey.
Christian McCaffrey's number 3.
All right, so I just got to one more.
You just need one more.
Give me. Give me Josh Jacobs.
Josh Jacobs is number 1, Coop. That's going to give you 5 of these correctly guessed players, top 12 players with the most scrimmage yards in 2022 season. Now you have a choice, Coop. You can either continue to guess for 2 times points, so you'll get 2 points per guess correct, or you can stop here.
Do I want to?
If you get it wrong, all your points will go to Simon. You currently have 5 points.
Do I want to try and run it up?
Probably. You probably want to take another shot or 2, really.
Probably try and run up the score here. But I think I'm going to AJ Brown.
AJ Brown is
No.
At number 11.
11. Okay, I think I'll stop now. He had like, what do you have? Like 1,300, 1,400?
1,496.
You snuck in there at number 11, Coop.
So you're gonna stop there?
I'm gonna stop there. Yeah, that one scared me. That one got the heart going, heart pumping.
All right, well done, Coop. Well done.
Ooh,
Just gonna give you 7 points.
So that's a new wrinkle, the old double points, above and beyond. You little
Above and beyond.
You
yeah.
little trickster.
You little trickster. It's nice. It's nice.
Yeah, it is nice.
Gotta
I do
fix
like
the
that
rule.
rule. I do like that rule because they get into double trouble town.
Double trouble town. All right. Coop, that's going to put you in a nice lead here, 7-0. And friendly reminder, play along in the chat if this is your first time playing with us. We love it when you play along in the chat.
Get
and
in
we
there.
praise you
And
when
I'm
you
gonna
get it right
close it.
before the panel.
I had the chat closed already.
Yeah. Close the chat if you haven't already. All right. This next challenge prompt for you guys is teams with the least, top 13 teams with the least number of Super Bowl wins. Coop, you are starting the bid on this one.
13.
I bet I could name 6 of them.
6. The starting bid at 6. Simon.
7.
7.
Oh, that's so many teams. I'll let Simon name 7 of these teams without getting a
Simon.
single one wrong.
Yeah.
Simon, you have won the bid on this challenge prompt. You
Not feeling
now
good
have
about
to
it, if we're
name
being honest.
7. 7 correct without getting any wrong.
So, yeah, the reason I did that is because I really got sad watching Coop just get all those points last time. And I was like, I could have done that. Like, I could have easily done what Coop did. So I was like, I'm not letting him outbid me here. And now I'm nervous. Let's start Browns.
Browns
Didn't they win? They have a bunch of
are
championships.
not on this list.
Wait, the current franchise of the Browns, which is a brand new team in Cleveland, has never won a Super Bowl. The Browns franchise that won the Super Bowls is not in
That's
Cleveland
true.
anymore.
Like,
that franchise still exists, and the Browns have no Super Bowls. All those Super Bowls belong to the Ravens or the Colts.
he's right. He's right. There's and like the championships they won weren't even called
They
Super
weren't
Bowls.
NFL. They weren't Super Bowls.
Autogram. So they have won championships, but they've never won the Super Bowl. The Browns have never won.
The question said Super Bowl, and the Browns have never won.
I'll give
a
this
Super
one,
Bowl.
even though he's my opponent. That should be true. That there are over 10 teams that have never won the Super Bowl. I know the Browns are one.
I have no way of verifying this. This is a Keith prompt, so we will just get rid of this prompt and we'll move on to another prompt since I have no way to dispute or not dispute.
I'm just.
Well, I don't actually have a list. Then, if that's incorrect, then this list can't be trusted. So what I'm saying is we have to move on then, which is fine. We'll just move on to the next prompt.
Well, wait. May I pose a change in the thing here? I just Googled it. So I said 10. They're actually 12. There are 12 teams that have never won a Super Bowl. Simon, would you accept naming 7 of the 12 teams that have never won a Super Bowl?
No, because I was a lot more confident in that if they've won 1 or 2, that I could name the bad teams.
Okay, that's fair.
Okay, yeah. Dustin said no. Simon's wrong. Those championships stay with the franchise, but he is right about the question saying Super Bowls.
Right.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, we're just gonna move on from that one. Apologies, it's my bad.
Okay.
We're gonna move on to a new list here. Your new challenge prompt is top 12 highest rated players in Madden.
Interesting.
Can I ask a clarification? Are these skill players only?
These are not skill players only. And this is Madden 2023.
Okay.
Which neither of us play, I believe. Unless you play. Do you play?
Mm-mm.
But
I know about football players.
I did.
And Coop, you have the first bid here, I believe.
Yes, I know about football players. So we're talking about just the best players at each position. Because each position is graded individually. So you could have hypothetically, like a punter that's a 99 if he's the best punter. Maybe. I bet I could name 5 of these guys.
5. Starting the bid at 5. Simon, your rebuttal.
Out of how many?
12.
I'll let Coop name 5. 6.
Well,
6. Coop.
I'm gonna bid 7, even though I might lose, just because I want to play.
Evan.
Okay, you got it. It's all you. I couldn't name 6. I just wanted to play.
well, once you said I get to play, I got too excited. So now I had to go 7. So I would have gone 9. I would have gone 9 if I had to. All right. So I will go. I'm playing, and I will start with Patrick Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes is number 5 on this list.
Okay. And I've used to play Madden a ton, and I know that they always grade the older players too high. They have like legacy players. So I'm going to say that I would bet that Tom Brady would also be graded really high.
Tom Brady is not on this list, Coop.
Ooh, okay. No Tom. Oh, wait. So I'm just done.
So you're out.
You're out.
Let me throw a couple out there just to see if they'd be on there.
Trent Williams on there.
Travis Kelce.
Trent Williams is number 3.
Yep, I was going to.
Travis Kelce is not on this list.
Oh wow! So
is Devontae Adams, Justin Jefferson.
Devontae Adams is on this list.
Are these people
Justin Jefferson's not.
All 99s? Then I imagine.
No, but there's not a single person on this list lower than 97.
Is Justin Tucker on the list?
No, he is not.
Interesting. Well, that was easy and quick. So
read that list for us, JL.
Yeah, let's hear the list.
According to the list I have, Aaron Donald, Myles Garrett, Trent Williams, Devontae Adams, Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Zach Martin, Cooper Kupp, Jalen Ramsey, Nick Chubb, Nick Bosa, and Stephon Diggs.
That was gettable. You could have pulled some names out on there.
There were
a lot of landmines that you could have fallen on.
Jalen Ramsey as a 99? 97?
According to this list.
Wow. Boo. All right, yeah.
So Simon, you were going to get all 7 of those points.
I wouldn't have gotten 2. if I had gone 2, I wouldn't have gotten it.
Absolutely brutal. That's all right. So this game is now tied 7-7. 7-7. Your next challenge prompt: how many of the top 12 players how many of the top 12 players with the most targets in 2022 can you name? And Simon, you are bidding first on this round.
5.
Out of the top 12?
Mm-hmm.
I think I'll let Simon go.
Letting Simon go. Simon, how many did you say again? 5?
I said 3.
You said 5.
I said 5.
All right, Simon.
This one shouldn't be too bad, though. But...
Justin Jefferson.
Justin Jefferson is number 1.
Oh, yeah.
Travis Kelce.
Travis Kelce is number 6.
Okay, so I got J. Jeff and T-Cal. You know, T-Cal, the ever important
everyone calls him.
Yeah. Everyone calls him T-Cal over there.
Of course.
Who loves to orange soda? T-Cal loves to orange soda. I'm going to go with Devontae Adams.
Devontae Adams is number 2 on this list, bringing you to 3. Simon, you just need to name 2 more.
Yeah, I know. And I'm starting to feel the pressure, baby. It's starting to mount. Pressure, baby. Pressure, baby. So I'm just thinking of players who caught the ball a lot. Probably some guys who were really good at football, did all sorts of things catching it when it was thrown their way. And they were like, wow, you're so good at catching that football.
I think you're on the right track.
Stalling well enough here?
I think you're
really trying to stall as I'm thinking of wide receivers here.
I think you're on the right track.
Oh, I'm so nervous. Why am I so nervous? Because I feel like I'm just going to get this wrong, and I'm going to say a name that is so stupid. Stephon Diggs.
Stephon Diggs is correct.
He's on the
Simon.
list, I bet.
It's going to be Simon.
Stephon Diggs. Okay. And the last one
is
Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Amon-Ra St. Brown.
He's on there.
Is on this list with 146 targets. Simon, correct. You did it. 5 correct. You nailed it. Now you have a choice. Would you like to continue guessing for 2 times points? But if you get it wrong, Coop's going to get all of those points that you've gotten for this round.
Oh, I'm so tempted to guess another one and go with the same guess that Coop went with whenever he made his guess. But I'm just we're going to stop. Stop at 5. Just take my 5 points.
Stop at 5. Okay.
And if AJ Brown's on there, I'm not mad. I'm okay with it. I just don't want to push my luck. I'm going to take those points and take the lead.
All right. You are choosing to stop, bringing you to 13 points. It's going to be 5 additional points. 13 total compared to Coop's 7. The additional people on this list, just Justin Jefferson, Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, CeeDee Lamb, Stephon Diggs, Travis Kelce, Deontay Johnson, Garrett Wilson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, A.J. Brown, Chris Godwin, Michael Pittman, and DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf and Pittman were tied.
I was going to say Metcalf and Pittman were the ones that I probably would have never gotten, but the rest of those, and Garrett Wilson also, I didn't think of.
Garrett Wilson.
Every single one of those other names like popped into my head. Like, should I guess this guy? Should I guess this guy? But Garrett Wilson, Metcalf, and Pittman surprised me a little bit being on there.
Yeah, Pittman and Metcalf sneaking in there at 141 in that last spot. Well done, Simon. That's going to give you 13 points.
Woo!
13 points total, 5 points from that round.
Very cool.
All right, guys, your next challenge prompt is the most featured characters of South Park. How many of the top 12 most featured characters of South Park can you name?
I mean,
Coop, you're starting the bidding.
I'll really watch a ton of South Park, to be honest with you. So I could probably only go with the most featured characters. I could probably only go with 4 of them.
4. Simon.
I'll go 5.
5.
I think you got it, man. You got me with 5.
Okay.
I don't watch it enough.
All right, Simon.
I do enjoy it, but I just haven't seen it in like years.
Eric Cartman is correct. Number 1, 293 episodes.
Kenny
is number 5.
Oh,
203
so
episodes.
I thought Kenny wouldn't be on it because Kenny,
but he's still in there. He's got to be in there to die every episode.
but he doesn't die. Is he still on the show?
I don't know. I haven't watched recent seasons. Stan Marsh.
Stan Marsh is number 3, bringing you to 3. You guessed 4.
I've guessed 3 so far. I guessed 5 because Coop said 4.
5. You're right.
Kyle Bravlowski.
Kyle is correct at 293, tied with Cartman for number 1.
Okay, so we got the 4 main characters. Now I just got to get Randy Marsh.
I would have guessed
Randy Marsh is number 6.
Number 5.
He's number 6.
Oh, he's 6 on the list,
Yes.
but my 5th one. Okay.
So you now have 5, Simon. You can choose to keep going or you can choose to stop.
I'm going to go at least one more, I think. I'm going to push my luck here. I'm going to go with Butters Stotch.
Butters is number 4 on this list, Simon,
Good
at
choice.
207 episodes, giving you an additional 2 points here. What would you like to do? You can still keep going.
I'll call
Or you
it
can stop.
here. I'll call it right there. That's where I'm getting.
On it there.
Yeah, I'll call it.
All right. That's going to bring you to you're going to get an additional 7 points for that round, bringing you to 20. Oops, 7. The additional people on this list, you got the top 6, Simon. The remaining people are Mr. Garrison.
I would have given
146
Garrison would have been my
episodes.
next guest.
Sharon Marsh, 119. Mr. Mackey, 116. Gerald Bravlowski, 109. Sheila Bravlowski, 98. And Clyde Donovan, 96.
Well, I'm glad I didn't go again because my next guess would have been Chef. Chef would have been my next guess, and he was not on that list.
No, they killed off Chef permanently. Do you know why they did that?
No.
Because the voice actor for Chef was like deep into like Scientology and stuff. And they actually, the last episode for Chef, they basically like just used a bunch of clips of his voices and just kind of like killed him off in the worst way possible. And basically the whole episode was about him joining some crazy club and then they just like murdered him. And then he's never been on again. Yeah.
Oh,
I have not seen that episode.
Oh my God, you should watch it, dude. They like turn him into like a robot chef, and then they just use old clips of his voice in like a robot way. It is honestly, it's a pretty disrespectful episode. I gotta say.
Dang.
You know,
Direct
South Park
Chef.
always known for their respect.
Yeah, always known for being highly respected.
Exactly, yeah. But it is pretty rough. Chef was voiced by I forget what
That guy.
The guy, yeah.
Isaac
Guy we
Hayes.
probably
Isaac
all
Hayes.
know.
Isaac Hayes, yeah.
Well, Simon, you are going to win this game. A feeling lucky punk. Well done, my friend.
Good job, dude.
Oh, I
Coop, well
regret
played.
that noise immediately.
Madden, dude. I wanted to play that Madden one so bad. That was my downfall.
You won by so much last time. It was only right that Simon win by so much this time.
That's how this game seems like it's
You
gonna
wrecked
go.
Simon last time.
It was pretty rough. So now, but the score don't matter. It's tied 1-1 in the series. So.
It is.
We'll see who comes out on top in a best of 3 next time we play this. Guys, coming up, we are going to play some Sell Me This Pen, and we're going to recap these conference championship games for you as well. And we might answer some questions from Reddit as well if we have time to help solve the problems of the world through that format. If you're enjoying what we're doing here, you guys should head on over to our YouTube channel at Front Yard Fantasy. Hit that subscribe button. Check out the other stuff that we're putting out over there, our other live shows, our game show, and all of our shorts. Hit that follow button, subscribe. It's the easiest way to show your support for what we're doing over here. Right now, you're watching the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
Call, chat, and enter contests in real time. It's Sports Talk 3.0 with Better Sports Network. Moose and Keith.
Because I never asked you this. When Noah was growing up, when did Noah first where you got a sense that this is what my son wanted to do?
I was really busy during his formative years. I didn't meet Noah till he was about 19.
Nice. So, your wife did a good job.
Yeah, you may want to talk to your wife. I would say about 13, he started showing a legitimate interest. He started getting curious about how I prepared, what it required, and then I saw a little bit of a shift, 14, 15, where he was concentrating on the on-cameras, the interaction between play-by-play and analyst, and started probably taking mental notes at that point of the performance aspect of, okay, you do all this prep, but you got to go out and deliver it. So, yeah, probably that 14, 15 range, I thought to myself, this could be something he really wants to do.
Front Yard Fantasy, weekday mornings at 7 Eastern on Better Sports Network.
You don't need to be like right 100% of the time.
No, there was a tweet about the refs that had me kind of cracking up the other day because somebody was like, we have the technology to track the ball down to a centimeter and figure out what speed these guys are running on the field. Yet somehow we still mark the ball by
That's my favorite.
a 60-year-old dude eyeballing it, and then we run over with literal chains and measure it. It's like, you think we could probably get that figured out.
The least precise way to measure something, and then immediately following that up with a super precise way of measuring something.
Yeah, it's like we have satellite.
Like if you're a millimeter short of that chain that they bring out there, that they ran out it as best they could in a straight line. But if you first they just go here, and then they grab the chains and they run in the straightest line possible. But then if you are 1 millimeter short with that football, it doesn't count. Sorry. Couldn't have been human error. You're just short.
That's exactly. And, they bring out the index card or whatever. Meanwhile, they have satellites in space tracking how fast Brandon Ayuk ran on an end around. But we can't.
and I can see that number live while he's doing it. Like I can see every player's speed on the screen live.
I love that. It's and not to mention that dude's trying to make the spot, and the player always tosses the ball right into his face. Right? He's coming over to spot it, and it's every other time the player's just here you go. Here's another thing to juggle.
Lunch Money with Kyle and Ray, presented by FantasyGuru.com.
Is it me, Ray, or is the only publicity that Microsoft Surface has gotten out of their whole thing on the sideline is people throwing them to the ground in anger? Is that just a me thing? Or the only time I hear about this device, Ray, is when somebody is chucking it on the ground, just pissed off at it, which I get it. All of us are in that world. We love to do that. Only in the NFL, Ray, can they get away with it because these are free. There's no cost. It's part of the sponsorship. Here's 5,000 Microsoft tablets to get you through the NFL season, and these players just slamming them down. It's like they've become Dilbert on the sideline, and they're so frustrated. They're just the only publicity this company and this product has gotten is negative.
Better Sports Network. It's sports talk done better.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. It's in the game.
It's in the beans.
Ow.
That's what a bean says whenever you bite it.
Ow.
Just the littlest ow ever.
Ouch.
Depends on those lima beans get a little noisy though.
Ah!
That's exactly what a lima bean sounds like. My dad swears when you ask him, what is your favorite food? And you can clarify, you can be like, no, like take health out of it. The flavor, what is the best flavored food in the entire world? He will look you dead in the eyes and say lima beans. Lima beans are that man's number one favorite food. And he's not eating like high quality lima beans. He's eating like frozen
Garbage
lima beans. Frozen lima beans that he just heats up in the microwave. And he freaking loves those things. Like his number one favorite food is a bag of great value frozen lima beans that he just throws in the microwave.
Wild,
right?
Ridiculous behavior.
Seems incomprehensible. There's so many foods. Don't get me wrong. Lima beans are fine. I've had some good lima beans.
Like if he wanted to like start the lima bean subreddit and be the moderator of it, he probably could. I doubt there's probably like 5 other people in the world that are like, that's the food. That's the one.
That's the number one food. And they're all lima bean farmers, really trying to make a push for big lima.
And then your dad.
And then my dad. Big lima plus Jan. That's what we got going on in there.
Nice.
Someone's got to speak for lima beans.
Someone's got to do it. And I don't think it's going to be Mr. Brock Purdy. He doesn't seem like a big lima bean fan. And maybe he should have eaten a couple more lima beans. Maybe that's what was missing. But this game did not go according to the 49ers plan. The Eagles walked away with a 31-7 dominant victory. And it really did just kind of fall apart for the 49ers in this game. They came into it seeming like, okay, Brock Purdy, maybe this is the storyline. Rookie quarterback, Mr. Irrelevant, leads us to the Super Bowl, but dude gets injured pretty early in the game. He was quoted as saying he couldn't throw the ball more than 5 feet. Josh Johnson has to come in. Josh Johnson gets injured. It was just falling apart, man. Just falling apart.
Only 4 players on the 49ers caught a pass during this game. Because obviously the wheels fell off pretty early, but basically you had Deebo Samuel got 6 targets, Christian McCaffrey had 4, George Kittle had 4, Brandon Ayuk had 1. The leading receiver was Deebo Samuel with 33 yards. I mean, that's what happens when you can't throw. And you saw it towards the end of the game. There was, as the Eagles started figuring out what was going on, that box started getting more and more stacked until there was basically just one safety in the back and everybody else was just right up at the line, ready to murder whatever weird end around they were going to do.
Right. Yeah. Brock Purdy said he just felt shocks and just pain from his elbow, from his wrists. So he's going to get an MRI today at some point, but not good for the 49ers. What a disappointing way to end that season.
Right. Brutal. It's like, the thing is, most teams have like an emergency quarterback, but this team, they were on their 4th quarterback already. How many guys can you really sit down and teach even a handful of plays to? You know, so pretty ugly, man. What are you gonna do?
When the announcers start talking about the possibility of Kyle Juszczyk coming in at quarterback, you know you're in trouble. You're probably not winning the conference championship with Kyle Juszczyk in there at quarterback.
That's what the people want, though.
That's what the people were asking.
I wanted.
That's what I wanted
so bad.
There should be a rule that when that happens, the other team has to do that too. Like when you get down to Juszczyk, they have to put in like Zach Pascal or something.
That would be funny.
They also have to put in Juszczyk.
That would be funny if a team could like just determine, like, it doesn't even require an injury. But if you put in a non-quarterback at the quarterback position, the other team's then required to follow suit. Like Patrick Mahomes is just tearing you up. So the Bengals are like, enough of this. Samaje Perine, you're the quarterback now. And then the Chiefs are like, damn it.
No,
I like JL's idea where, like, when you were a kid and one of your buddies had like a bum ankle, he would just play QB for both teams.
For both teams, yeah.
So like, once Juszczyk's in, he's just the QB for both squads.
All-time QB.
Yeah, that'd be perfect.
There was always that kid in every group. Just had to be QB on both teams.
I'll be auto QB. Like, dude,
the narcissist of the group.
Shut up.
Auto QB and no tackling the QB. No tackling the QB.
Yeah, tackle for everybody. 2-hand touch for QB.
20 Mississippi rush for the quarterback. No offensive line. Just count to 20 Mississippi, and then you can rush.
20 Mississippi,
or as we like to call that, NFL rules. Tackle for everyone but the QB. But yeah, from besides that, the thing that intrigued me so much about this 49ers team is that I was kind of expecting them to mix it up, try and do something a little bit different. Because when you look at what the Eagles do, James Bradbury and Darius Slay, those guys have played outside corner all year long, to the point where Darius Slay didn't record like a single. I don't think he recorded one single snap where he went in and covered a guy in the slot. And James Bradbury had like less than 20. Like they were basically like, okay, we're gonna put these guys on the outside, and then whatever happens in the middle happens. CJ Gardner Johnson has to cover whoever's in the slot or whatever. I was surprised that not even just the 49ers, but other teams weren't just playing to that to their advantage. Like, why not just put Juwan Johnson out at split end and Juwan Jennings and just say, go ahead, take Juwan Jennings away. We don't care. And put Debo in the slot. But they weren't really like doing that. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that's too easy of a solution. And obviously teams will adjust to that. But it seemed weird that they came out and had Debo Samuel on one side, Brandon Ayuk on the other side, Kyle Juszczyk and George Kittle, and just ran the offense they normally ran. It didn't try to make any adjustments for what clearly was a bad matchup for their team. How do you guys?
I think what could have been wildly detrimental to them is that they did that, and then a good chunk into the first half of this game, like midway through the second quarter, this game's 7-7. Even though they're getting outplayed in every facet of the game, you know what I mean? They're still in it at 7-7 with that Christian McCaffrey touchdown. They weren't forced to kind of make those adjustments down 14-7, 21-7, and then your fourth string quarterback gets injured. You literally can't even throw the ball 5 feet successfully with someone who's practiced at the QB position. And what are you going to put Debo in the slot and still not be able to get him the ball at that point?
At that point, it was out the window. I just felt in the beginning of the game, do something different. Make some, like, you're playing right into what they thought you would do.
100%.
And then you did it. But you mentioned
and then you did it.
And then you did it. You mentioned that Christian McCaffrey touchdown. My goodness, dude. That guy. Yeah, that's the best running back in the league, right?
Yeah.
Like
without a doubt.
On that one little 3-second play, he did everything that he jumped over a guy, like sideways jumped over a guy, juked another guy, and then trucked a third guy. Like, what more can you do as a running back? He did it all. I guess
I was trying to think of another move, a flip once you get into the end zone.
Yeah, he could have done a spin move. He should have mixed in a spin move somewhere in there.
Yeah. And you guys remember in like two-hand touch football growing up, where like you'd be running and you'd like throw the ball up in the air over the guy and then catch it yourself.
I didn't have it.
That move?
I didn't have it. Yeah.
You touched me when I didn't have it. You would just toss it in the air.
Illegal forward pass.
That's a classic move right there.
Classic.
So we could mix that.
George Kittle after the game said a reporter asked him a question and he expanded on it, saying, how does it feel to lose an NFL championship game because I don't have a quarterback? Pretty shitty, to be honest. The classic ask yourself a question and answer it. The alley-oop, the self alley-oop.
And he did kind of like repeat that reporter's question back. Like, there was some sass in that statement. Like, what do you expect him to say? Like, oh,
feels fantastic.
Good. Feels good out here. No,
that's why, as a big tight end fan, I wanted media week this week. That's what they call it. The week leading up to the week before the Super Bowl. I really desperately wanted George Kittle and Travis Kelce against each other, just sound bites left and right, because those two they bring the silliness. Dallas Goedert, great player. I don't know if he has that silliness factor in him though.
Which is what it takes to be a truly elite tight end.
I think so. I think Hawkinson might have a little bit in there. He's got a little bit of that nonsense going.
Got a little bit of the sillies.
I think Dallas Goedert might be. Actually, Dallas Goedert didn't he say he has like Wolverine skin?
Oh yeah,
because of psoriasis.
Because of psoriasis.
Psoriasis is super bad. He's got the silly,
Well, he's got a little bit of it. We'll
silly psoriasis.
Yeah, he needs to step it up.
Psoriasis.
Let's see if this week he steps up his nonsense meter a little bit.
Dallas Goedert, I need you to say something ridiculous. Just one thing.
Get in there.
Because you have this whole week to be silly, and then next week you could be serious before the game.
Throw your hat in the ring. Throw your hat in the ring to be the silliest tight end in the Super Bowl, because everyone's just assuming it's going to be Travis Kelce. Give it a shot.
Sillier.
You got to get you got to get real. You got to get up real early in the morning and put your clown makeup on to be sillier than Travis Kelce.
You're right. And Kelce got a head start with the end of that game running up and just screaming "Burrowhead my ass" on national television.
Yeah, he dropped he's ahead by like 50 points just by dropping a jabroni on the mic.
I saw the Eagles getting a lot of flack online for saying this is the easiest path to the Super Bowl that people have seen in recent memory. Now, of course, they earned their week 1 bye, their wild card round bye, but then they have to play a Giants team that nobody expected to make the playoffs, let alone win a game, to face them in the divisional round. And then after that, they're playing a team with their best case scenario, 3rd string rookie quarterback. It ends up being their 4th string quarterback. And then that player gets injured. So people are talking the Eagles haven't been challenged heading into the Super Bowl. I don't buy into that. A path to the Super Bowl, you play whoever's put in front of you, right? And this Eagles team did earn the bye. They clearly earned the 1 seed in these playoffs. Sure, they had some things fall their way in these 2 games. Like I would much rather play the Giants than the 49ers with Josh Johnson or an injured Brock Purdy than I would have to go through the Bengals and the Jaguars. But still not the toughest path for them.
I mean,
it's tough to score on that defense yesterday. You know, the number 1 defense in the league. It didn't look too easy. So I think the Eagles deserve it for sure.
I'm with you.
Absolutely, dude. And like, you really think about it, if Jalen Hurts didn't get hurt, they might have won every game except 1 in the regular season. You know, that they were 13-1 when he got hurt.
Yeah. I feel like the people making that argument are completely ignoring the fact that part of that path to the Super Bowl was their incredible regular season where their starter went down and they still held on to the 1 seed, right?
It's like, yeah, and the real at the bottom of the whole discussion is, what do you want him to do, right? Do you want him to call up Roger Goodell and be like, I demand a more difficult schedule, right? Like, there's nothing they could do about it. What exactly can they do about it?
Yeah. They're speechless at just the assertion that they don't deserve to be there.
Not much is what I said.
Yeah, that's what I figured you said. It sounded like that. It looked like
not much. Yeah. But we got the 2 1 seeds in there, so we're gonna have a 1 seed winning the Super Bowl this year for sure. And the Eagles deserve to be there. Let's talk a little bit about that other game though. The Bengals Chiefs game. That one was a little bit more exciting to watch. The Chiefs coming away 23-20 in this one. And started off kind of slow though. These are 2 high-powered offenses. Bengals have been known for scoring early in the first quarter. Didn't get it done this time. Didn't score early in the first quarter this time. It was a little bit lower scoring at the start. They picked it up a little bit.
Yeah. It was low scoring. There was the Travis Kelce touchdown on a ballsy 4th down call. That was I'll tell you what, something about, even when I'm like not rooting for the team, when a 4th down play goes longer than 2 seconds, I just immediately think, oh, this is nightmare, right? You get that panic of like, so when he started rolling out and, you know, it got to like the 3-4 second mark, 5 second mark, I was like, oh, this is a disaster. But then, of course, the beauty of running a play like that on 4th and 1 is that you can't have a bunch of guys back. So whoever you send deep, which ended up being Travis Kelce, he's going to get 1-on-1. And I don't envy anybody trying to cover that monster, that mongoloid in a 1-on-1 situation. Not catching balls in balls.
Especially when they start just improvising like they do. Like that's got to be the scariest thing ever. Whenever you see them like, oh, shoot, they're going off script. Like, how the hell do you even stop that?
You don't.
You can't.
You don't. So.
And then Patrick Mahomes, this entire game, like he was making throws, then you would see him just landing on 1 foot. Like he wasn't kind of injured. That dude was landing and hopping on 1 foot to avoid pressure on it whenever it was unnecessary.
Yeah, he was. There were a number of those ones, and they weren't holding anything back. They had him roll out left, roll out right, a lot of different plays getting him in space where he was moving around. So they were like, hey, you know what? If we're gonna win, you gotta be able to run all the plays. So kudos to them, and kudos to Patrick Mahomes for getting himself ready to play, because not easy. Not easy. That staff, that medical staff, cheers to them, right? Big win for them.
For sure.
To tape that guy together. Again, it stinks that calls by the refs and things like that had to take away to a certain degree from this game. But at the same time, like it's not like a situation where there's some serious argument that the better team didn't win or that the Chiefs didn't deserve it. It's not like the Bengals were clearly the better team and the game was stolen from them. I would say at the very least it was even, and the calls might have skewed it one way or another, but it's not a situation where you're sitting here and you're like, the better team got robbed here. Like both these teams are phenomenal, and the Chiefs deserve to go every single year, and the Bengals do too. That's the way it goes in football.
Yep, only one team's going on, but it's going to be the Chiefs this time. And the running game didn't really help Patrick Mahomes out. You were thinking maybe with him being a little bit banged up, they'd rely on the run a little bit more. Their leading rusher was Isaiah Pacheco with 26 yards. The only other running back who had any rushing yards was Jerick McKinnon with 1 rushing yard off 4 carries. Ronald Jones, 1 carry for 0 yards. Patrick Mahomes had 8 yards, and Mecole Hardman had 7 yards on the ground, but they could not get it going on the ground.
Yeah, it's interesting, man. Now, what do you think? I know we want to talk about the Super Bowl, but looking ahead, what do you think happens with this backfield? I mean, we also have to remember that they're missing Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who is under contract in 2023 because he was a rookie in 2020. So they have him under contract, and because he was a first-round pick, by I think the deadline's May 1st, they have to decide if they want to pick up his 5th-year option and keep him for 2024. So where are you at with that? We have, it's Pacheco, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Jerick McKinnon, technically Ronald Jones still floating around. What do you think is going to happen next year, Tom?
I know Pacheco, you just look at the box score and it says bad game, right? 10 carries, 26 yards, 2.6 yards per carry. But watching that game, there were some huge plays from Isaiah Pacheco, and not just, oh, look at that good run, where he's getting hit behind the line of scrimmage. He's fully tackled 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and he turns it into a 4-yard gain. Like, that dude runs so unbelievably tough, and he's a rookie. I have to imagine he's going to be their primary ball carrier next year. It seems like they like the kid. Now, that being said, if it's not Jerick McKinnon, I imagine they have a complimentary back type that's filling that pass-catching role, because I don't think the Chiefs are rolling out an every down workhorse back in this offense. I think Pacheco is going to be the first and second down ball carrier next year, and then we'll see if they bring McKinnon back or if it's someone else. CEH probably gets mixed in there.
Yeah, I hate to be that guy, but just imagine this offense had they drafted Jonathan Taylor or DeAndre Swift. And the thing with that is that those guys all went within 10 picks of each other. Like they was, CH was technically a first round pick, but I think he was the last pick of the first round. And then
pick 32.
Yeah, Swift was like right there, and John Taylor's right there. We have TB83 in the chat saying very disappointed when TB83 had to leave. I think he was a big part of the game plan. Now I understand that TB83 name on YouTube. It's Tyler Boyd that is the TB in this case. Not so just like TB12, that's TB83, Tyler Boyd 83. So I like that username. That's a solid one.
That's awesome. Tyler Boyd had some big time catches early in this game as well, dude. It's just wild that's the 3rd best receiver on that team. Whenever you watch some of the plays he's making, some of the routes he's running.
Yeah, and this is some fantasy football dynasty advice for people out there, and just advice in general, is that you have to watch what's going on within these teams and who can play what role, because there's 3 different roles for a wide receiver. There's split end, which is the big guy who tethers his foot to the line, can't go in motion. He's opposite of the tight end. You have to have 7 guys on the line. There's the flanker, who's also outside, but he's a step back off the line, usually on the side where the tight end is. And then there's a slot guy who's in between either the tackle and the split end, or in between the tight end and the flanker. What happens a lot of times with guys like Tyler Boyd is that they're the second best wide receiver on the team. So in 2 wide receiver sets, they line up opposite AJ Green. In 3 wide receiver sets, they move into the slot. So they never come off the field. Cooper Kupp does that, where he lines up in the slot, and we call him a slot wide receiver. But when it's a 2 wide receiver set, he's not coming out of the game, right? Chris Godwin, same thing. He's in the slot. Keenan Allen. Those are the slot guys we love. The problem we run into is when the team has T. Higgins, who is a 6'4", 6'5" monster split end, and then Jamar Chase, who's obviously going to play flanker. That means that Tyler Boyd's the guy that comes out in 2 wide receiver sets. So in Dynasty, you have to keep track of those things where when they're a situation where they had 2 good wide receivers, now they have 3. One of those guys is going to come out of the game. And if you're a team like the Ravens or a team like the 49ers that uses a fullback, those snaps, the slot snaps, can sometimes only be like 40, 50, 60% of the game. So Tyler Boyd's a prime example of somebody. When it was him and AJ Green, he played every snap. He was a 1,000-yard season wide receiver. Now when they have 3 guys, he's the guy that comes out. His upside's a little bit capped. So long, drawn-out discussion on slot wide receivers there, but it's important for Dynasty. If you see that happening to one of your guys, trade them. There are guys that are at risk of that. What happens if the Lions go out and get a big split end, and now it's a big split end, Jamison Williams and Amon-Ra St. Brown? Which guy comes out of the game if they get to the goal line? It's an interesting question.
Yeah, well, it could be Amon-Ra St. Brown. Maybe it's Jamison Williams, but we don't know.
Yeah, you look at the Jets. They brought in Corey Davis. They had Garrett Wilson. They had Elijah Moore. One of those guys had to play limited snap share. It ended up being Elijah Moore. So
limited. That's a nice way to say some of his snap shares.
Yeah, well, part of it is maybe a little bit of an attitude situation there. But yeah, keep an eye on that. The offseason, you can sell high on certain guys if you see that happening, and it's a good way to get an advantage. Big way to get an advantage.
Yeah. No, with Tyler Boyd though, this is one of those things where I always view him as one of the most predictable, unpredictable players. People are like, how do we see his big games coming? Zach Taylor, there's a reason he does well in the postseason, and that's because he's great at creating a game plan, like planning for a specific game. And if he notices a team is weak against slot wide receivers, you can go ahead and pencil in Tyler Boyd as a wide receiver 2 for that week. You can go ahead and start him. If it is a bottom 10 team against slot wide receivers, you know Tyler Boyd will be involved. But like you said, Coop, in that same note, if they're not, probably leave him on your bench because he's the one coming off the field.
Exactly. I mean, think about this. If it was the Bengals versus the Eagles and they have Darius Slay and James Bradbury on the outside, I would be smashing Tyler Boyd in my Super Bowl DFS lineups, right? Because I mean, we watched with the Giants game. Isaiah Hodgins and Darius Slayton got taken out of the game, and Richie James was the guy that got like 6-7 targets. So it would have been a Tyler Boyd game had the refs not stolen this game from him.
It's all the refs, bunch of turkey basters. That's what I always say.
Bunch of turkey basters. Is that what you always say, Joe?
That's what I always say.
You 100%. Are one to throw a turkey baster in there for no reason.
I am.
Just turkey basting up a storm.
Got a turkey baste.
Do you think Patrick Mahomes owns a turkey baster, or do you think he bastes with his mouth?
I think he owns
like
6
this.
turkey basters. Now I think that he just does it with his mouth, now that you demonstrated it.
Yeah, it just fills his mouth up with whatever he's basting with and puts his mouth right on the hole that you would put the baster in and then goes
like a little fountain.
Yeah.
There's no question he does that. I mean,
just, you can see it in the game that he does that very clearly.
Of course.
Coop, I didn't ask you. You asked me what I thought was going to happen with this running back situation, and I just really spent 5 minutes going on and on about, even though Isaiah Pacheco only got 26 rushing yards, he looked damn good on the field out there. Do you think Pacheco is going to be their main guy next year?
That's too tough question.
Okay, Jill, what about you? I'll throw that one to you instead.
That's why I asked you that question, because I don't know the answer.
What was the question?
Do you think Pacheco's the dude next year, or what are the Chiefs going to do with this running back situation?
I don't think Pacheco is the guy necessarily. I think that we'll see a committee. I think that's what we'll likely see from Andy Reid, also Red dominant offense.
If they wanted to keep with the trend that is a kind of a ruthless business move, but one thing that teams do at times is you decline that 5th-year option and then you run Clyde Edwards-Helaire into the ground and just give him as much work as he can handle. The thing is, you decline his contract and you put him in a spot where now you can, he's not part of the future of your team, so you can use him as much as you want. And on the flip side, Clyde Edwards-Helaire wants the ball because he wants to earn his next contract. It's like Josh Jacobs this year, right? They turned down the contract. They got him 1 million carries. He wanted to get those touches so he could prove, you know what I mean? It's a tryout for the next team. So it kind of is an interesting way to motivate guys. But yeah, that's what I would do. But I'm also on the outside looking in. I don't have to be the one to, look at these guys and be like, sorry you're banged up, but we're going to give you 1 million carries again this week.
That's one to monitor in the offseason. And we'll see what their game plan is heading into the Super Bowl. Andy Reid, though, I am excited to watch what they do in the Super Bowl because that dude showed up with some shenanigans and some balls during this game. Coop, we already talked about the 4th down call, touchdown to Travis Kelce, but you see the designed lateral in like the first quarter from Travis Kelce to Jerick McKinnon. Like, bro, like it's not even halftime and you're pulling out hook and ladders for no reason. I love it. And had Travis Kelce made a better lateral, McKinnon would have been gone. Not a touchdown, but that dude was flying. He would have been another 20 yards down the field, no questions asked. I want more of that. I want more Andy Reid shenanigans in the Super Bowl.
There's something magical about a lateral, isn't there? It's so exciting. That's why
it's in the air. It's because everything's a possibility for the split second that ball's in the air. Could be picked out of the air, could be dropped, could be taken for a touchdown. You just never know.
Could be anything. That's the me and my buddies, like we used to play the NCAA college football games. It's just a lateral every opportunity. Every other play is a lateral. Because back then you couldn't lateral in Madden, but you could in NCAA because they had to have the button in there for the triple option. So it's just like, ridiculous lateral. It's a beautiful thing.
Adam, and you're saying worst Super Bowl I could have imagined. I wanted to see Joe Cool and Purdy so bad. So not too thrilled about the matchup. I went into that Chiefs-Bengals game neutral yesterday, but by the end was cheering for the Bengals. Like there was just something about watching them play. Joe Burrow was like, I think it was when he took off on like 2nd and 16 or 3rd and 16. And it was the longest run of the day by any player. And it was Joe Burrow. He just said, fine, screw it. I'll do it myself. And he said this. I was like, oh man, like I'm pulling for that guy. Yeah. He made that noise the entire way.
Yeah.
And he got to the end and he reached for it and he said, got it.
Yes.
Hiya, Wafa.
I'm Joe.
Like I will say, dude, like just the crazy plays that like Jamar Chase and T. Higgins were making, that's a lot more exciting than watching Travis Kelce find the soft spot in his zone.
Just over and over. Yeah.
Just
instead of
time
going
and time again.
like, how the hell is Travis Kelce open again?
Just
It's a lot more fun to go, holy shit, look at that catch.
Look at that. What the hell was that? Why did they even throw that? You know what I mean? Like, that's what I like, dude. Dude, Burrow made an amazing throw in that game that it was so good that even Jamar Chase couldn't track it. The one that hit Chase right in the helmet.
Right in the helmet. And then the
what
announcers,
an amazing throw.
For a second, they were like, well, it wasn't errant throw. And they're like, well, I mean, I guess if it hits the guy in the head, it's a pretty good throw.
Exactly. Like,
Dude, that happened a couple of times this game. I think, didn't Samaje Perine get hit in the chest?
He did. He got hit right in the chest.
Man, that was just a tough timing one. He had turned around too late.
I mean,
remember can you imagine turning around just getting nailed with the football?
Yes. Yeah, I had friends.
I can imagine that vividly.
Not that throw like Joe Burrow. That's
not the throw like Joe Burrow. No, my 8-year-old neighbor when I was 8 did not throw a football at my chest quite as hard as Joe Burrow would have.
Adam in the chat said, worst Super Bowl I could have imagined. I wanted to see Joe Cool and Purdy so bad. Yeah. And then TB83 came in and said Super Bowl, responded to that saying Super Bowl will have historically low ratings. I think NFL won't admit it though.
I mean, the thing is the Eagles are a big market team. So are the 49ers, but both the Chiefs and Bengals are not big market teams. Right?
But they got Patrick Mahomes in there,
Mahomes,
which people tune in to watch.
That's what it is, the Mahomes factor. Because, I guess they probably looked at the draw of the bank. I mean, no, they're not rigging these games. I mean, anyone could have won. If they were going to rig it, it would have been it wouldn't have come down to the way it did at the very end. Right? There's easier ways.
The game before that wouldn't have happened.
I think there's a lot of people. I think teams really need to factor in, though, that at the end of these games, the refs are just not as willing to call holding penalties in the pocket. We've seen it for years, going back to Patriots. There were complaints that they were holding penalties against the Patriots. There was complaints that there was holding on the Eli Manning, David Tyree helmet catch. Like at the end of these games, I think the refs are just. Because a holding ends the game, right? A 10-yard penalty ruins. It's a drive killer. So I honestly think that there's some sort of sentiment that says like, hey, unless it's crazy egregious, don't throw that flag. There has to be, man.
Let the play determine the end of the game, not
There's
call
so many
determine the end
examples.
of the game.
There's so many examples of it where they just let everyone play, right?
Yeah, I do disagree. I see Adam saying that he feels like the NFL is so rigged now. I disagree. I think there were bad calls. I think there were horrible calls. I don't think there's like grand rigging going on. Now, they are humans as well, and humans have internal bias. You know what I mean? I'm not sitting here saying that there wasn't even bias in that game, that the calls weren't one-sided, because you know what? The Bengals did get shafted a little bit, but I think it was just a case of bad calls.
Right.
Bad calls, and that's part of it.
A part of it, a big part of it's got to be like if you're that ref and you know what's going on, right? You know when a team is driving to try and tie or win the game. In the back of your mind, you have to be thinking, am I going to be the one that throws the bad flag and ruins this drive, right? Like, am I going to be one that calls a holding when there's not a holding and ruins everything? So like you naturally, you're going to be hesitant to be that person, right? So that's why I see that it's not crazy to suggest that's a possibility.
Yeah. Squirrel Bob in here saying full-time refs might help fix it. I mean, I would love to see some full-time refs where that's their full-time job instead of a side hustle, a side gig.
I don't know if that makes it that much better, though. I think it's a very difficult skill.
Oh, for sure.
What are they going to do all week?
Full time, like if you have a very difficult skill, having people where that's their only focus. Know what I mean? That should help. It's hard to do two jobs at once.
Fewer refs that do more games. That's how you do it. I mean, like, what do they do from Monday to Wednesday? Film,
training classes. I'm sure there's other work that refs got to do.
But they're not
practice.
Just throwing out in the yard with a tire on a rope, just throwing flags through it, dude. Just like running through cones. So you throw a flag, then you drop one of those little fumble bags, the blue bags, and then you throw your hat, and you're like, ugh.
They just mime various situations. That's the entire NFL.
The coach yelling, "Give me 10 holding calls on 3. 1, 2, 3." Holding on the defense. Now, louder,
hands up, higher. Ed Hockley's the coach, just yelling.
They hire actors and actors to come out and just scream at these refs to get them used to game time environment.
Yeah, was he in the neutral zone or not? Use your hands. Show us where you
are. Are you blind?
Here's the neutral zone. Here it's not.
Right.
It's that simple. Also, Scott Fish in here saying reffing isn't a full-time position in the NFL. And we looked up the jobs of a lot of these refs a couple weeks ago. I'm saying I think it would be great for the league if they made refs full-time. Paid refs enough or got people in there that would do it for a full-time living.
They pay them like $250,000.
That's what I'm saying is maybe it's the people, not the salary that needs to change. So I mean, someone where $250,000 is enough to work a full-time job instead of some lawyer who this is just paying for his family vacation to the Bahamas next year.
Or you got, we talked about Mike Carey, who's like an inventor, inventing like snowboard equipment, like the referee stuff. He's just like, whatever. He's like, I'm rich, dude. Not a big deal.
Scott's agreeing with us. Says, I just jumped in. I agree. But a lot of lawyers in the reffing ranks.
You do want to have refs that are individually wealthy, to be honest, because then there's less incentive. It's hard to go to a guy who is already rich and be like, hey, you want to throw this game for us and we'll pay you a bunch of money to do it.
I think you underestimate greed and wealth, Coop. I think having a lot of money doesn't stop people from wanting more money. If anything, I think it makes you more corruptible. You've got that kind of money to gamble with as well and to play with. So like, I hear what you're saying, but I think it's a wash either way. Know what I mean? I think having that to get to that position, you may be more likely to be corruptible, but not being in that position, you may be more corruptible from the start. Like, I think it's a wash.
So you need to just find people that are just angels.
Medium wealth.
Or maybe
just
guys
most medium.
Maybe guys that can't read. Or guys that are stupid, and then somebody comes to them and they're like, hey, we'll pay you a bunch of money to rig the game. And they're like, I don't understand.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Get only referees that can't read. That'll fix the league, Coop.
You try and get a hold of them, they're like, sorry.
I don't read. I got no phone.
Can't.
Just go where the wind blows me.
Can't rig this game. Can't really read.
Also, Squirrel Bob was in here saying crazy. Fly, Eagles fly, baby. Excited about the Eagles making the Super Bowl. Congrats, Squirrel Bob. I wonder what that feels like, watching your team make it to a Super Bowl. Let me know how it feels.
Maybe one day, Simon.
I'm not holding my breath for the Browns to make it to the Super Bowl. Not anytime soon. We'll see what happens over there.
Jay says, can't read like Floyd Mayweather. That is hilarious, dude.
He's the head ref.
Floyd, yeah, couldn't pick a better guy. I have no problem making fun of Floyd Mayweather for not being able to read because he's a jerk. So
I'll only make fun of you if you don't know how to read. If you're a jerk,
if he's a jerk, yeah, then you can make fun of him.
We've talked a little bit about both of these games individually, but the opening lines for the Super Bowl, the Chiefs and Eagles Super Bowl in Arizona have come out, and the Eagles are 1.5 point favorites, which surprised me a little bit. Do you think this has to do with the Patrick Mahomes foot injury that we saw acting up yesterday? They do have 2 full weeks, or is this just Vegas saying, we think the Eagles are the better team and they should be favored?
I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, we saw the Bengals be favored coming on the opening lines in this past game, the AFC Championship game. So they know the Chiefs have weaknesses in this team. I think they think the Eagles are a better team if all things are equal. But then you throw the Patrick Mahomes leg injury stuff in there, and I think it becomes even clearer.
That's what I'm saying. With the 1.5 point line, though, I'm not sure there's enough room for both to be the answer. Know what I mean? Like the Eagles are only favored by 1.5 points. Like that tells me either the Chiefs would be favored if Patrick Mahomes was fully healthy, or the NFL thinks the Eagles are just the better team regardless. Like 1.5 point favorites of the Eagles doesn't scream there's room for both of those there. And with 2 weeks, like that leads me to believe the former. Like they just think the Eagles are the better team. They think this team's going to be able to get it done.
Yeah, and I think, it's not just Mahomes that's banged up, right? Like we saw L'Jarius Sneed leave the game with an injury. We saw Mecole Hardman leave the game with an injury. Juju Smith-Schuster's been banged up. Kadarius Toney left the game with an injury. Like maybe if we get news that these guys are all going to get healthy and play, we see that line creep back towards the middle. All I know is that I'm happy that the line is like 1 point or 1.5 points. The closer to even, the better. Because with this particular one, I just want to see a good game. So it's nothing worse than, like the playoff, the college football national championship game where it's like the spread is well over a touchdown and then one team just gets crushed. Like nobody wants to see that. I want to see a good game. So I want to see the spread trickle towards even if possible, but 1.5, perfect. I'll take it. Let's have some fun.
I'm happy with it. 49.5 point over under sitting there at the total. So that's a pretty high one. Not quite hitting that 50 point threshold, but we'll take 49.5.
Yeah.
You're not too mad about that. Guys, coming up, we are going to play a game called Sell Me This Pen, where we have to sell assorted things to our co-hosts here. And we're going to answer some questions from Reddit as well. So stick around here. Right now, you're watching the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
Better Sports Network is sponsored by Lucra.
Your 2023 prediction on the promo that we play was the Lakers was going to make the playoffs and beat somebody in the first round.
Hey, I hope we match up against Memphis.
That's not going to happen.
I hope we match up against Memphis.
And you'll get swept.
Ain't no way we get swept.
Sweep them. The Memphis Grizzlies would be swept. They would be laughing at them.
If the Grizzlies if the Lakers make the playoffs with AD healthy, Westbrook off the bench, and LeBron, everybody's healthy, they will beat the Memphis Grizzlies 100%.
We will be on Lucra betting on that game right 100%. Now. All right, Better Sports Network is sponsored by Lucra. Lucra is redefining friendly competition. Compete in the games you play and the sports you watch with Lucra. Download the Lucra app right now to create a contest and bet against your friends in as little as 15 seconds. Use the promo code BSM when you sign up to receive a free $5 to play with. Winning is fun and beating your friends is even better.
Lucra is redefining friendly competition. Download the Lucra app today to challenge your friends and win money.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. It's in the game. And today is Monday, January 30th, 2023. The conference championship games are done, and we're getting ready for the Super Bowl in 2 weeks. Chiefs and Eagles. I didn't ask you guys. Immediate reactions, initial guesses. Who's winning that game, Chiefs or Eagles?
Eagles.
Chiefs.
Cheagles.
The Don Cheagles.
Don Cheagles.
Yeah,
better than the East.
No,
the East is better.
East.
I don't like that.
The Philadelphia Eves.
What's better, Eve or Egeef?
Eves. Eves.
Eves.
The Philadelphia Cheagles. That's a name, dude, right there.
Brutal dog breed.
The Philadelphia Cheagle.
Philadelphia.
Don't mess. Yeah, no, he's not friendly. Do not pet him.
He's a Philadelphia Cheagle.
Whoa.
Whoa, yeah. Sorry. Our apartment complex, no Rottweilers and no Philadelphia Cheagles allowed in this apartment complex. It just gets so much hate, guys. So much unbelievable hate. This weekend, my girlfriend and I started playing a new video game. I don't know if you guys have ever played it. Have you guys ever played have you ever played Cuphead?
Yeah.
No.
Dude, that is one of the most difficult games I've ever played.
I had never played, and like I showed my girlfriend 2 trailers for games because she wanted to play a new game, and that was one of them. And I was like, don't be fooled by the whimsical animation. If we play this game, it is going to be the hardest game we've ever played together by not a little bit. Like the next hardest is going to be Donkey Kong. Is going to be the next hardest game we've played. Yeah. And we started playing, and good God Almighty, is that game difficult?
The animation is amazing.
Unbelievable. Right? It's all hand-drawn animation too. It's animated like the old school cartoons, hand drawing, but whew, is that game hard. We've beaten like 4 or 5 of the bosses at this point, but if you've never played, the whole game is built around these boss battles that are meant to be just grueling, like multi-phase boss battles where you're going to die like hundreds of times figuring out the patterns for these bosses. It's all about getting the patterns down, dying over and over and over and over and over again, and then piecing it together.
It's like in the game shouldn't exist. They were like, you remember those games for Super Nintendo that were impossible to beat, like Battletoads? And everyone's like, where you have to memorize the level, and everyone's like, yeah. All right. And they're like, all right, let's make it that hard. And then everyone's like, okay. And they're like, okay, well, you know how there's amazing graphics in games nowadays? And everyone's like, yeah. What if we made a game that looked like a Betty Boop cartoon? And they were like, all right, I'm listening, I guess. And they're like, in Dark Souls, you just die over and over. It gets incredibly frustrating. And everyone's like, yeah, we know that. And they were like, okay, we're going to add that too. And then that's Cuphead. It's basically like, it's like playing Fantasia, right? Until you get frustrated and break your controller.
It's incredible. It's almost so hard that it makes it less frustrating than some less hard games because you just know you're going to die over and over. Know what I mean? Like death doesn't even hurt in that game. But I recommend it. You guys should try it if you're looking for a challenging game, and it's great as a cooperative game. Like it's really great as a 2-player game to play with another person.
Damon here said Nobody Saves the World is a really fun 2-player game. I wrote that down.
As did I. I got it written down on my notepad right here. I'm always looking for a good 2-player game.
Can't beat it. Can't beat it.
And Dr. Squant said Cuphead makes me want to tell my boss he's fired.
I feel like if he had played, he would understand.
You just call up.
Why the hell are you talking to me like that?
It's that freaking cup, man. Hang up.
He goes and Googles it and then buys it that night, plays it for the first time. He's like, oh, I get it. I get why Jeremy was so mad.
It's that freaking Mugman. The second player is named Mugman. So your Cuphead, and then the second guy is Mugman. Adam in here came in and said, I'd like the Bills to try and get rid of Singletary and target Aaron Jones this offseason to beef up the run game a bit. What do you guys think of that?
I would beef it up a bit, yeah.
It's all right. It's all right.
I mean, that would be sick to see Aaron Jones on the Bills, though. That would be a clear upgrade over Singletary, and it would improve that offense. And this Bills team, I expect them to make some moves in the running game this offseason. They're sick of losing in the playoffs.
I know some people that would be very upset, and they would feel a little bit of betrayal if they did sign Aaron Jones, and those are the James Cook truthers out there. You go on sites like Keep Trade Cut. You guys familiar with Keep Trade Cut?
I'm familiar.
I am.
Yeah. So like the idea is that you go in and it makes you answer a question who you would keep, trade, or cut, and that's how the rankings get sorted out. James Cook in those rankings is oddly high. He's ahead of Aaron Jones, to put it in perspective. And this is basically dynasty ranking. So according to that website, he's ahead of guys like Alvin Kamara, Aaron Jones, David Montgomery, Antonio Gibson, James Conner. Like people believe in James Cook over there at least. So kind of interesting.
I don't fully buy into the premise of which, like the math behind how they rank that. Personally, I'm not trying to disparage the site. Shout out anybody creating stuff in the space, but I tend not to put too much. I'd be curious to see what other
they skew very young, and they also skew very much towards picks. The picks are also very high in there. Like, a second round pick is ahead of guys that have had like wide receiver 2 seasons, and when you look at the data, like only 30% of wide receivers picked in the second round of rookie drafts ever have a single wide receiver 2 season. So like Brian Hartline counts as a hit. Chase Claypool, because he had that one wide receiver 2 season, he would count as a hit. That's how the odds are not in your favor in Dynasty, to be honest. At any level, even the first round picks in Dynasty have a 50% chance of not doing anything.
Absolutely. Scott Fishin here reminding us that Aaron Jones is under contract for the next 2 years still. And Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, David Montgomery, Tony Pollard. There's a whole list of free agent running backs this offseason that it might make more sense for the Bills to go after.
The one reason you do trade at times, it doesn't necessarily apply to the Bills, but if the Bills have major players, they think other teams are going to sign away. Like let's say they don't plan. What kind of contract is Von Miller a free agent this year, or anybody? Like if you have guys that are leaving, sometimes you trade instead of signing a guy so you can get compensatory picks back. Right? That's the one time I would trade. Like if you think about the Patriots, they let JC Jackson leave last year, and they're going to get a third or fourth compensatory pick for that. If they had signed a wide receiver, it would have canceled that out. So instead they traded for Devontae Parker. So that's the one instance where trading does make sense versus signing guys. But I agree that if you can just sign Saquon Barkley to like $8, $9, $10 million a year, obviously you do that over Aaron Jones, right?
Yeah, why give up assets to get Aaron Jones over some of those other guys?
So
that makes a good point.
Yeah, you'd have to do it in a way where, like, if you had a guy leaving and you think you're going to get a third round comp pick back, it makes more sense to trade a fourth round pick than it is to sign a guy, right? Because you get Aaron Jones plus a third versus signing Saquon Barkley and keeping your fourth. That's the math that I look at.
I'm with you, Coop. Guys, we're about to get into our next segment here that we call Sell Me This Pen. Jill, you want to let us know how this segment works, and then we'll get into it?
Sure. It's nice and simple. I'm going to give these guys a prompt here, and the prompt is simple. It's just sell me on blank. Sell me on something. Idea, a change, anything. And they have to make an argument on the fly for this prompt. You guys ready?
Let's do it.
Who went first on Feeling Lucky Punk? Simon, you did, right?
Yeah, I think Simon went first. It's my turn to have an easy one.
And it's your turn to have. Okay, I see how those two things are getting mixed up in your head. Well, Coop, your first prompt here. Sell me on relocating one NFL franchise.
Relocating one NFL franchise. If I was going to... All right, so the first thing I would do is I'd look around and I would say, what city, because you want to figure out what city deserves a team. And London would be cool and all, but it's overseas. The first thing I want to do is establish an international team. So the options end up being London, Mexico City, or maybe America's Hat. And in honor of a good friend of the show, Toronto Dave, I think Toronto deserves a team. Right? That would be a team that I would be highly interested in seeing a place interested in getting a team. Right. So then next thing I would do is I'd look around the cities and the states that have multiple teams. Right. And you have California has a bunch of teams. In fact, one of the cities has 2 teams. Los Angeles has 2 teams, and they also have a team with the 49ers. They lost a team in San Diego, though. Technically they didn't lose them. They just moved to another part of the state, but they did lose the Oakland Raiders. Miami has 3 teams, and the Jaguars, the Buccaneers, and the Dolphins, and
all Miami teams.
But the New York area has 3 teams. That's where I'm grabbing a team from, right? You've got
take the Bills.
It's not a far move to Toronto either.
I'm taking the Bills. I'm moving them up over the Hudson River, sending them down Niagara Falls in a barrel. And you know what? They
all
just
in one barrel. Do they each get their own barrel?
Put them all in one barrel because
one big barrel.
Yeah, you want to make sure that if they all perish, they do it together, or once you split them up into separate barrels, not too much to sort through. So,
is this one that's filled with the Buffalo Bill?
Not just some other random guy that decided that was the day he was going over.
Coop, you had the Giants fan in the chat go, "Watch it, Coop," and then go, "Okay, you're lucky." While the Bills fan comes in and goes, "Coop is dead to me now."
The Giants were always safe. It was, if anything, it was the Jets and the Bills that were going over. Right, going over. I'm sending the Jets over Niagara Falls, and they don't even get a bet.
They don't. They're not for Toronto. They're for
I'm sending them over, and the other part of it is that they had a game. The Ralph. I love the Ralph. It's a cool place. That stadium stinks. It's old. It's made of concrete. And guess what? It was supposed to be an advantage for them to play in the snow. They just lost in the snow to the Bengals. So it's about time. New stadium. Move them over into Canada. Build them a dome. Right? Everybody that's in Buffalo, it's not that far. It's not that big a deal. So yeah,
you're gonna love it.
First international team, the Toronto Bills.
The Toronto Bills.
I love the ring that has to it. Terry Pagula, move him on over. Yeah, move the Sabres too, Terry. He owns both teams.
TV83 said, I'm in Ontario.
Ontario.
NFL will not come to Canada because it would really hurt the CFL. They said, you just mentioned Niagara Falls. That's exactly where I am. Hey, you can pick up the free New York Jets. They'll be floating. All you got to do is grab them.
Yeah, there you go. Change the team name to the Toronto Beavers.
Toronto Beavers.
There you go, dude. The Toronto Maple Syrups.
Good one.
Like
classic. Very original.
The Toronto Moose.
Ha.
What's plural for moose? Meese?
Meat.
Mooses? Moose? 10 moose?
Moose. Yeah.
Moosey. You're mussy.
Mussolini's.
15 Mussolinis.
You get further and further from the actual answer here.
Can you imagine? Oh, look. Mussolini off in the distance.
Giant antlers on that one. Victor said it's just moose.
It's just moose.
Move him.
Dude,
moose. Scott Fish says, I love the show. I actually recently learned the how to tell the difference in the plurals of fish. Do you guys know that?
Fish.
So,
fishies.
So you say, if you have a bunch of fish of the same species,
Fosh,
then you say fish. If there's two different, I don't even know if I have this right. If you have two different fish that are different species, like say I have a bunch of salmon, those are fish. But if I have salmon and a tuna, then those are fishes.
So you just add the S?
Fishy here.
I think that's the case. I mean, I might have made that up a little bit, but it's 100% true.
You have got Dustin with moving the Bills to Toronto. He is going on one here. He said this is worse than Simon's musical instrument draft, worse than the Gatorade game, and worse than Simon and JL's ice cream draft.
Hey, watch
worse than the Gatorade game.
You were good until you started in disparaging me in there.
The Gatorade game was the single most controversial moment on this show. I say.
JL's like, it's fine if you're taking shots at Coop and Simon, but I draw the line at me.
Yes.
Me and my team.
You went
I
way
draw the
too
line
far.
at my feelings.
It has nothing to do with me being a Patriots fan and the Bills winning the division multiple years in a row now. That has nothing to do with it.
They'll just win it in Toronto.
That's a good
not
point.
Far enough to leave your division.
That's a good point.
Yeah, but still, but then they wouldn't. Then it would be USA versus Canada.
Then they'd have to live in a really sick city like Toronto.
But when they beat us, even if they beat us like 30-0, I would be out there going USA. And Scott Fish clarifying that is the case, but it's optional, so you don't have to say fishes. You can just say fish each time.
You could just say fish.
And I figured out the reason moose as a plural is because there is no plural of moose, because there is only one moose.
It's a single moose.
It's a single moose who wanders the world.
Noun.
Exactly. Moose. You don't need a plural.
Everyone sees the same one when they see him or her.
Or her.
What pronoun do you use for moose?
Moose. It's all just moose.
Moose.
Moose, and moose.
Well done, Coop. You sold me on relocating one NFL franchise. I'm all in on the Toronto Bills. Let's go.
I'm out. I'm out on that one. I'm not dealing with the Bills fans, man. You can stand on that take alone.
Without a big long explanation, Simon, who would you? Just a quick one. Give an example of somebody you might move.
Who would I move? I'll take one of those LA teams. I'll take the Chargers and I'll move them to. No, you know what? I take it back. We're taking the Raiders out of that fresh stadium in Vegas. You can use it for a different team. We're moving them to Mexico City. Yeah. We're having the Raiders be the Mexico City home team.
Estadio Azteca sitting empty.
Someone else can go in there.
He'll figure out something to do with it.
He'll figure something out.
The reason I didn't want to move somebody to Mexico City is apparently the air quality there is not good.
Yeah, but it's a sick city. So,
yeah, but it's
so
fun.
Did you consider that?
Does it matter?
The greatest city I've ever been to, and I just want to go watch an NFL game there.
Well done, Coop. We got Scottfish in the chat said, okay, so my zoo has a mom moose and 2 baby moose. I routinely see them together. Is it like a mirage or something?
Oh, for sure, without a doubt. That's big. Yeah. That's big nature trying to scam you.
That's big nature. That's what constantly playing with mirrors. Yeah, just trying to mess with you. It's all one moose, just optical illusions.
It's all Chris Angel.
All of them are Chris Angel mind freak.
That's true.
Right.
Have you ever seen Chris Angel in the same room as a moose? I rest my case.
I haven't.
Oddly enough, I was at a party in 2017 with a moose and Chris Angel.
I'm not gonna believe this.
Yeah, it was my beer pong partner, the moose. We win. We're running the table. Walks across from me, Chris Angel, mind freak.
Chris Angel,
amazing.
And my friend Janet.
Clearly an A-list party.
Yeah, not a moose, the moose. Chris Angel,
the moose,
moose freak.
The great Mussolini. All right, Simon, you are up on Chris this next
Angel
one.
Moose freak.
The Toronto Chris Angel Moose freaks. That's the
I'm just imagining him rebranding his entire image to be the moose freak instead of the mind freak.
Justin says he hopes I get attacked by a moose, dude. That's serious business, bro.
That's a threat, yeah. Victor's saying it's not Moose Tracks anymore. It's Chris Angel Tracks. Chris Angel Tracks. Yeah, can I get 2 scoops of Chris Angel Tracks?
Moose you have Toronto Chris Angel Tracks here?
And then they always say, watch as I make this ice cream disappear. You have to make the corny joke every time.
Everyone that sells it. All right, Simon, you are next on this. Sell me this pen. Simon, sell me on getting rid of the equator.
Listen.
All right.
There are certain things. There's certain things we do in this world because they've always been done that way. There are certain things that we just abide by because that's the way it is. That's the way we've been taught. And I'm here to tell you that doesn't need to be the case. When the automobile was first brought to market, people were livid about these horseless carriages driving around. What is the world coming to, right?
There ain't no dang horse on here.
There ain't no dang horse on my carriage.
Where's the horse?
Change is scary, especially when it's something that's been so ingrained in the psyche, the identity, and the structure of daily life. And the equator is nothing but an antiquated line meant to divide the world into northern and southern hemisphere. It is an evil perpetrator of time zones throughout the entire world. All we are doing by creating these lines of latitude, I'm going to take this a step further, JL. I'm not just eliminating the equator. I'm eliminating all lines of latitude and longitude. There are no more of these lines on the globe. It's just completely unnecessary. We live in the year 2023. We need to have a global way of keeping track of time that isn't reliant on these like randomly determined demarcators of geographic location. We can operate on a grander sense. No more divide between North and South. It's the Americas. One unit.
Earths. I like it, Simon.
That's my take for getting rid of the equator.
Nah, keep it. USA. USA.
And Jay said, who wants to know exactly where a point is? There's ways we can get around that. You don't need the equator. Yeah, we got stars. We've got mile markers. You know what? Just get some of those like mile markers up in the ocean, like Key West, 0 miles. We just got to start them going the other way.
But you can't have any because you can't have any sort of organization for those markers because that'd be too close to being live.
It'd be a little bit too much
They
like
have
the
to
equator.
be just kind of out there, but maybe
Reminds
different.
me too much of the equator.
Maybe
It's
different
like when I'm driving
maybe
back
different
from
colors. Yeah.
when I'm driving back from Detroit and I see the sign that says Atlanta 782 miles. That's what I'm thinking in the ocean, right? Like there's no system to that. They just let you know if you keep driving on this road, you'll hit Atlanta eventually. That's what I want. I want
that
this
there's
like
just signs coming out of the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. That's like that's like McDonald's 700 miles that way.
yeah, there's just it'll be like North America 400 miles, Africa 8,420 miles, Starbucks
With no arrows.
13,670 miles.
I like it, Simon. Well done. Well done. You sold me on getting rid of the equator. I think we should. I think we should. And
who needs
Tim
it?
said GPS don't need no coordinates.
Nah,
I'll figure it out.
Over there.
What about that?
Dustin
stick?
said, might as well just move the equator to the North Pole and rename it the North Pole Moose Line. Freaking Coop got me hot this morning.
You know what's
Toronto Maple Moose equators.
Chris Angel. The you know that what's funny is that like you guys, have you ever seen deeds where you guys live? They probably make a lot of sense, right? Where it's like there's a system of grids and things to label things. Up here, some of the old deeds, a lot of them are still labeled the way Simon describes. Like my deed on it still uses the meets and bounds system, which is an old system that basically is like on the deed. It says like over by that tree, right? Like, or they actually use markers
somewhere around here,
right? So like yours will have like if you look at San Antonio, for instance, it'll be like lot 32 as it should, right? Whereas up here sometimes it'll literally be like over by the post. Like it actually has like posts. Like my property has like an old like stone post in the corner. That's part of the deed. How wild?
Wild.
Yeah, that's old timey stuff. Yeah, they figured out as they moved west that there's a better way to do it than meets and bounds.
When you said meets and bounds, I was thinking it was gonna be like 4 sausages.
4 sausages and
6
one
ribeye.
I was imagining something much more painful when you said meets and bounds.
What?
Bound system. It is truly ridiculous.
Some bound meat. You ever seen like the meat that has like the twine around it and they like squeeze it tight and it's like
I
was
actually do a
imagining
lot
that.
to not look at meat in general.
Yeah.
Well, you sometimes
raw meat gives me the
I can't live. I guess I can't live in Massachusetts. If I want to buy a house, gotta freaking look at meat all the time.
It'll be like your property ends at that giant raw tenderloin in the backyard. It's been there for 100 years.
It's gotta be so tender.
That is like your house. The lot was drawn back when people were like, "And this land I claim as mine. From that post over there to that tree on the hill, this all belongs to Smudge Peterson."
Smudge Peterson. This stick here, and then somebody just moves the stick in the middle of the night. That's how my property line changes. Like, the old
That
tree
stick looks like it's in a different spot than yesterday.
But it's funny that
foiled, in my property.
I didn't think of that.
They didn't change the deeds though, so it literally says that like 10 feet west of the old tree on
Someone
Farmer
really
Johnson's
scratched it out and was like 12 feet.
Check it out. For real though, that is how it works here. It's hilarious.
They just used bird poop for whiteout back then. All right, Coop, you are up next. Sell me on making the football round.
Like a basketball.
Well, let's take a look around some of the more popular sports, right? There's America's pastime, basketball. And that
yes.
That's
America's pastime sport.
That sport was founded in one of the greatest states in this nation, if not the greatest state. I mean, many would say it is the greatest state. Springfield, Massachusetts is where basketball was founded. And you look at a ball like that, so round, so symmetrical, so perfect in every way. Orange in most cases.
Curves for days.
You look at baseball. The fact that you can throw that ball 97 miles an hour as a slider, 100 plus miles an hour as a fastball. It's glorious. If you could replace the football with the baseball and have everybody have gloves, now you're talking about a high flying, high octane sport that's no longer for children. And it already is kind of a difficult sport for children to play. Just imagine passes from Patrick Mahomes that aren't this oblong, egg-shaped hunk of pigskin. And instead, it's the leathery, stitched-up goodness of a baseball rubbed in the finest secret mud that they rub those baseballs in, which is a true fact and is very strange. Just imagine the deep balls that you could chuck if Vlad Guerrero Jr. was dropping back from the 1 yard line, throwing it up over them mountains, right? Just imagine how ridiculously stupid kicking a field goal would be. Everybody would go for it on fourth down because you're not going to be able to kick a baseball. So in this instance, I think that the only way to go is up with these sports, and switching over to a little hardball. Just imagine the possibilities, boys. Just imagine.
Imagine a lot.
There, I just looked it up because I was curious. It says the average college or MLB baseball player can throw a ball over 300 feet, a baseball. That's the entire length of an NFL field. So if you're talking like just the average MLB player can chuck a ball, now imagine they're training specifically to throw that ball as far as possible. You're probably getting guys that can throw a ball 400, 425, 430 feet out there. Maybe they make the field longer. Yeah. Double the length of the field. Make it now a 200-yard field, 600 feet, and watch these in the air, like 150-yard bombs or just flying through. Oh my God.
I have to imagine the meta for the type of players in football would change with this, right? Like soccer, you get a bunch different archetype of player than you get in football because all of a sudden you're running a lot more. Could happen, something like that.
It's going to be a lot harder to knock the ball out of someone's hand.
True, but I love the idea of like everybody having gloves. So at any moment, just be like, wow.
The back when I was in high school, I threw the javelin, and our coach
one time or like as a habit.
I finished as number 6 in the state of Massachusetts throwing the javelin.
Wow,
was that your first time throwing it?
5 people were throwing better than me that day, but number 7, get in the back of the line. But
happened to be the back of the line. There were only 7
there was only 6 of us there that day.
Hypothetical number 7, get behind me.
Get back there, boy. Yeah, no, but our coach had this like training film, and part of the film had an Olympic javelin thrower throwing a baseball, and I think it was at like Brave Stadium or something. And from home plate, he throws it clean out of the stadium. Wow. It's the most ridiculous thing. I wonder if I can find a clip. If I can find the clip, I'll post it on Twitter. But like literally everyone's standing there and they're like, what the hell?
So not into the stands, but out of the stadium.
Like just clean out of the stadium.
You imagine driving down the road past Turner Field, like the old Turner Field in downtown Atlanta, and a baseball just comes flying through your windshield. And then you're like, oh, cool. I wonder if that was a home run. Like you're thinking like, holy, and then you look it up and it was like, no. Just some javelin throwing asshole who wanted to show everyone how far he could throw a baseball.
Yeah, this little thing.
I got this.
I'm used to throwing literal weapons, metal long weapons. You're going to hand me a baseball.
Was that good?
TB83 said, I can imagine it. It's a more relatable shape too. The majority of American citizens. So Americans being just understanding circles and spheres. I guess spheres more than oblong. I don't know what you call that shape.
A football
shape.
Football shape. I think it's the shape of a football.
I believe it's the easiest way to describe it is a Hey Arnold head shaped ball.
Ah, okay.
I think it's an oblong rhomboid.
An oblong roblong. I see. I see. Okay.
It's an oblong Rob Schneider, if I'm not mistaken.
Somebody's got to do it. Nobody's going to do it. All right, that's fair. The next one, Simon, you're up. Sell me on going to Build-A-Bear for my birthday.
I can't believe I have to sell you on this. I thought maybe you're going to make me sell you on not going to Build-A-Bear for your birthday. Jill, let me ask you some questions. Do you prefer to be in control or out of control?
In control.
Okay. Whenever you go to a dining restaurant, a place with food, do you want to order for yourself or do you want someone else to order for you?
I want to order for myself.
And what about your friends that are there? Do you want your friends to order for themselves, or do you want to order for all your friends?
That's a good question. Sometimes I want to order for my friends, but I'd say most of the time I want them to order for themselves.
Right.
Quick minor sidebar. What are your thoughts?
Just interrupt my pitch in the middle of it.
What are your thoughts on? Sorry, you can go ahead.
No, keep going.
What are your thoughts on ordering for the tape?
If determined ahead of time, it's fine. You know what I mean? Don't just order for the tape without checking with everyone.
Well, I think
if I'm the one ordering, I like it.
I think ordering for the tape, I feel like is something where when you just order something for the tape, you don't check ahead of time. It's if you're checking ahead of time, that's not ordering for the tape. That's just
ordering for the tape. If it's an extra, is totally fine. Know what I mean? An appetizer for the table, you're good to go. But if you're ordering entrees for everyone, you better be damn sure you know what everybody likes to eat and what everybody doesn't like to eat. Because if I'm sitting down there and you order a beef dish as the main and we're all sharing, I'm pissed and I'm going to order my own thing. 100%. I'm not going to let you to commandeer my meal because you wanted to order for the entire table without checking about my dietary restrictions first. And this all comes back to Build-A-Bear. John Luke, you go into this Build-A-Bear establishment. Can you imagine the audacity of them just handing you an animal that you had no say in picking? A bunny? You're not a bunny kind of guy. You want the monkey, or you want the bear, or you want the lion, right?
Way more monkey, lion, or bear type of dude.
All your friends just show up and they hand you a bunny rabbit stuffed animal. You're going to be
garbage.
Pissed. I walk in there and they just hand me a rhino. I don't want a rhino. I want the one that looks like the Among Us character. That's what I want.
Your rhino.
Build-A-Bear is all about control, freedom, and choice, JL. And I know those are things that you look for in birthday celebrations. If you want to stay in control of your birthday celebration, and if you want your guests to feel like they have an element of control as well, you have to do it at Build-A-Bear. The only downside, I'm fair, I give both sides, is you can't say butt, queef, fart, or booby in the recorder that goes inside the bear. So if any of those words you wanted your bear to say out loud, they are all off limits.
You don't say.
So how are we going to have a birthday party?
Well, you're just going to have to pick some other words.
Can I say but?
Yeah, you can. Coop,
okay,
no worries. I checked ahead of time. You can say creamers and bazongas, so you're going to be good over there. I know you showed your affinity towards those words the other day. We double confirmed, but I just had to be fair, let you know there are certain words they don't let you put inside the Build-A-Bears. Outside of that, though, you've got control of everything else. You follow their one simple rule, and you can have your superhero dressed monkey wearing underpants on his head that screams, "Not in my house," whenever you click the hand.
This is my Ray Lewis, my Ray Lewis themed bear. Simon,
the bear's like, when I put my hand on Jacoby's chest, I could feel the Lord's power, and I knew he'd run back that kickoff coming out of halftime. That's what your Ray Lewis bear says.
That's exactly what he says. Well done, Simon. You sold me. You sold me, which is very impressive because I did go to Build-A-Bear once. I think it was for my birthday. It might not have been. It might have been like a late birthday thing. And I convinced this guy who was watching me for a week, is like babysitting me for a week. I was probably like 11 or 12. I was like, gotta go to get Build-A-Bear. It's super important. Let's go to Build-A-Bear. Like all my friends been talking about it. Seems awesome. I gotta go to Build-A-Bear. So we go to Build-A-Bear. We go to the mall, and I immediately regret it because I realize this is a place for kids.
You're 12.
I'm like 12 years old. I don't belong here with my 17-year-old babysitter. Like while my sister and my mom are out on vacation. And so we're going through it, and the lady is like, she's not getting it. She's treating me like a little baby. She's like, ooh, put the heart in the bear. She's like, can you feel it? And I look over at Steve and I'm like, no. She's like, no, just press harder. You can feel it. I don't feel anything.
I'm feeling a painful level of cringe right now. 12-year-old.
Total cringe. I convinced Steve to go there. I was like, Steve, we gotta go to the mall, bro. Let's go.
You know, Steve, he's like, whatever.
Brutal. Steve was sitting there. Steve shit his pants. He was laughing so hard.
I will say, though, every time my girlfriend and I are at the mall and we walk past Build-A-Bear, our heads both go like this as we walk past. You know what I mean? Like it's never just like a quick glance or you just walk past it. It's always like, what bears they got in there? Oh, Is that a dragon? You know what I mean? Like every time there's like should we? Nah. We're not going to spend $30 a piece on a bear and wait in line with all those children. But then we walk past and we're like, oh, did you see the new costumes they had in there?
I see their inventory has switched over.
Oh, they got a Star Wars themed one in there.
There's
you want to just look?
Is that the fall collection?
There are certain things in the mall though that like you can't resist the temptation of. Right? Like I go to the mall and I'm just like
Auntie Anne's.
I was just gonna say like Pepe Le Pew floating through the air to the Auntie Anne's, wherever it is. And I don't always get something, but I always take a quick.
I always smell. Like I'm getting something.
Like
There's certain things you have to do at the mall. You have to look at the Build-A-Bear. You have to sniff the Onions, and you have to look at the penises in the back of Spencer's every time.
I was literally about to say Spencer's. Yeah, you have to go to Spencer's.
You have to go to Spencer's. And you have to go in the back, and you have to giggle a little because there's wieners back there. It's like mall rules. No, it doesn't matter how old you are.
And then you can start shopping.
Right.
And then you can begin your trip.
And you can get whatever you came
for. Saying, quote, actually, I was 25.
25.
I was. And Dustin said the shape of football is a prolate spheroid, which jogged my memory. That was totally one of a question I came up with on Jeopardy probably last year. It had completely gone out of my mind.
I thought a prolapse spheroid was a medical condition.
You'd think, yeah. No, if somebody's asking you if they can feel your prolate spheroid, they're talking about your football.
I'm looking at pictures of
prolapse spheroids.
Yeah,
I'm looking at pictures of prolate spheroids right now. Some of these puppies would be impossible to throw. They're not. There are many varieties, and some of these look like. You ever tried to throw a balloon? it just ends up. Sometimes it ends up behind your shoulder. Like you go to throw it, it rolls off your hand, and it's behind you. That's what a lot of these prolate spheroids look like.
Looks like Brock Purdy's fumble yesterday. Whenever you try to throw a balloon, and then just sometimes you accidentally bonk it with your arm on the way forward too.
Ouch.
I have a distinct memory of playing balloon volleyball in my living room when I was like 5 years old with one of my best friends at like 11 p.m. It was too late for us to be
water balloon volleyball.
No, just regular balloon volleyball. But we had tied a blanket across the living room to make a net, and it's 11 p.m. and we are jumping off of things. And then all of a sudden, my dad comes walking down the stairs in his underpants, just yelling at us like, "It is bedtime!" And you know what?
Spin lima beans everywhere.
Like it's like 11 p.m. But then me and my friend, like, we're sitting there like scared out of our minds, when they're also like, it's that moment. Even at 5, we were like, "You're right. It's 11 p.m. People are sleeping. We're jumping off furniture down here." Like, you are 100% correct.
Someone gets the last spike.
Boom! Eat it. Sorry, Mr.
When you play the keep the balloon up game, like I've never had like less I've never had less self-preservation or less regard for my own well-being than playing that. Yeah, just diving. Just like my neck crumples against the couch. I'm like, did I get it?
Kicking that priceless vase into oblivion.
Turn into Mike Williams as soon as the balloon goes into the air. Guys, everybody, thank you so much for joining us bright and early on this Monday morning. Good news. We're going to be back Tuesday through Friday, every day, Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern time for some more Front Yard Fantasy morning shows. So come back tomorrow morning to hang out with us. But until then, stick around here on BSN. Moose and Keith coming up next. You've got Lunch Money presented by Fantasy Guru, then Corey Nando and friends. Guys, I'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning. Until then, though, we are out of here. Adios, everybody.
Mañana.